Ayan, so we're live now. Hello sa inyo na nandito sa Zoom ngayon, and hello sa mga nasa portal. Hello, kumusta po tayo dyan? So handa na ba tayo for biochem natin? Sana handa na kayo. Ayan, so before we start, let me play a send-off video. Kasi Pasko na, nakita niyo na ba si Jose Marichan na gumaganon? Diba? So let me share my screen. And let's listen to this video. Let's watch it.
Isang dalaga'y maglilihi at ang lalaki ang sanggol. Tatawagin siyang Emmanuel, Emmanuel. Isang dalaga'y maglilihi sasabsaban siya'y nakahimlay. Nagpahayag ang mga anghel, walhati sa Diyos. Isang dalaga'y maglilihi at ang lalaki ang sanggol.
Ayan, so Merry Christmas sa ating lahat. Hello, Doc Broly. Good evening po.
Hello, good evening, Chikay. Good evening to everyone in our portal. So, let's start prayer and then dire-diretso na tayo. Sabihin ko sa kanila yung program natin, Chika.
Thank you, Doc. Okay, everyone. So let us all close our eyes, bow down our heads, and let us pray. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Dear Lord, we come to you in the spirit of learning, humility, and love. We are grateful for this opportunity to learn from each other and grow closer in our faith. We ask that you bless our time together as we explore the teachings of Jesus Christ. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Ayan. So for our summary in Biochem, let us all welcome Dr. Franz Rubio. And
Okay.
Doc?
So before magbigin si Prince, so Prince is one of the top students ng UPCM, UP College of Medicine Class 2020. I think he graduated top 5 nung class nila. Okay. A consistent Quiz Bee champion, several times champion ng APMC Quiz Bee competitions. Several times din na naging champion for the IM Quiz Bee competitions. So he's a current IM resident at St. Luke's and part of the top-notch team. He is also part of the faculty ng San Beda College of Medicine. So before he starts his summary lecture, he'll be with me. I'll be giving some of the corrections to your handout. So the past 3 days, students have messaged me personally asking about certain questions dun sa handout or sa video. So in that process, we discovered 5 corrections, 3 corrections from the Rubio handout and 2 corrections from the Baticolon handouts. I'll discuss them. And then we have about 20 questions for the clarifications naman. Those clarification questions, walang mali dun sa handout, pero may mga concepts na nahirapan silang intindihin. So, i-discuss mamaya din ni Fritz. Tsaka, i-discuss ko rin sa inyo mamaya. So, let me share my screen. Let's begin. Okay. So, get your main handouts now. So, handout corrections. So, page 2, left lower quadrant. So, it's basically a typo. Yung A to C, B to C.
Typographical error.
It's basically a typo. So just change this. Okay, logical correction. If A is equal to C and B is equal to C, then A is equal to B. So kindly change that in your handout. It's a typo. Okay. Next. So I'll give you time to write it down to make the corrections. Next. Page 13, upper quadrant, okay? So mannose should be a constituent of glycolipids and glycoproteins. So kulang ng word na glycolipids and glycoproteins. I think sa handout nyo nakasulat lang so far is glycoproteins. So change it, okay, to glycolipids and glycoproteins. Page 13, upper quadrant, Rubio handout. Okay, next. Baticolon handout, page 36, left lower quadrant. Okay. So tama yung nandun sa PowerPoint. The teachers are also the ones that will check the handout. Hindi nakita to kasi arrows medyo nakaligtaan. So kindly check. Okay. This part, the pancreas responds to elevated levels of glucose and amino acids by increased insulin and decreased glucagon secretion. So I think in your handout, increase insulin, increase glucagon yan. So change, ito yung tama, increase insulin and decrease glucagon. Next. So change na lang yung arrow sign. Next, page 27, upper quadrant, Baticolon handout. Okay. High cholesterol dapat itong part na to for type 4, familial hypertriacylglycerolemia. Okay, so dapat high cholesterol, hindi high triacylglycerol na nakasulat. So kindly change this to high cholesterol. I'll give you time to write. Okay, next. So another typo, this time page 29, lower quadrant, Dr. Rubio handout. Okay? So dapat sa yellow box nakasulat both vitamins B6 and B2. Inadvertently in your handout, I think nasulat B6 and B12. So dapat B6 and B2 yan. Okay? So ano ba yung B6? Pyridoxine, B2 is riboflavin. Okay? So B6 and B2, not B6 and B12. So we have 3 corrections in your handout, dun sa Rubio handout, and then 2 corrections para dun sa Batikalon handout. Those are the corrections discovered when the students messaged us the past few days. Okay, let's go now to the clarifications. Okay, so page 2, right lower quadrant, Dr. Rubio handout, UVC not screened by the ozone layer according to the video. According to the handout, UVC screened by the ozone layer. So follow the handout. Okay, so this was checked by friends. Follow the handout. UVC is entirely screened out by ozone at 35-kilometer altitude. Most UVA does reach the surface, but UVA does little damage to tissues and accelerate aging. UVB is largely responsible for sunburn and skin cancer, although it is mostly absorbed by ozone before reaching the surface. UVA, A for aging. UVB, B for bad. This is the one that will cause cancer. Okay? Next.
Ito rin for Doc Broly for that UVC screened. Screened yung C doon. Pwede rin siyang mnemonic for that.
Okay, A for aging, UVA. B for bad, it's the one that will cause cancer, UVB. And then UVC, screening. It's the one screened by your ozone layer. Okay? Next. On glycine, okay, it was mentioned, Doc. So someone asked this, page 5, left upper quadrant. It was mentioned that glycine forms hydrophobic interactions, but in Harper's, it is mentioned that it actually forms hydrophilic interactions. So take note that there are actually inconsistencies on how amino acids are classified across the textbooks, review books. Kindly follow the handout, okay, regarding this one. Sundin nyo yung handout, yung gold standard natin. Lahat ng nasa top-notch batch yan yung sundin. Okay, it is also the most consistent across the textbooks. So please be aware, okay, there are actually differences talaga in terms of the references pagdating sa part na to. Okay? Glycine yung may side chain na hydrogen lang. Siya pa yung simplest
For the hydrogen lang. Yes, tama.
Yung simplest, di ba? Yung
Yes, siya lang yun.
Kaya nagkakagulo kung hydrophobic, hydrophilic. Okay. Next, on proline, okay, page 5, left upper quadrant, and page 27, right lower quadrant, particular handout. So in the table, proline is classified as non-polar, tyrosine is polar. In the figure, proline is polar, tyrosine is non-polar. So which one should we follow?
Yes.
Okay. So, friends, explain ito part na to.
Kasi di ba,
polarity na kasi
as mentioned by, yes, as mentioned by Dr. Broly, there are inconsistencies. Depende kasi ano yung ginamit ng author. Na example, kailan ba siya maging polar at what value? Kailan ba siya maging non-polar at what value? So doon nagkakaroon inconsistencies. But let's go to the theoreticals of this concept. So proline, di ba? Wala ka naman diyang mga negative OH, wala ka doon mga negative na sulfur na atoms doon. So in that sense, they're actually non-polar in character, kumbaga. While in contrast, in your tyrosine, di ba, you have here your hydroxyl group, negative OH, di ba? And if meron kang negative OH, you have negativity on one side of the structure. But on the other side of the structure, you have positivity. When that happens, you will have a polar structure. You have polarity. You have different poles. May negative side, may positive side ka. So theoretically, it would make sense, di ba? But siguro, on the degree of polarity, nasa bandang ano siya, papuntang non-polar ng konti. Relative to the other members of the family. Kaya nagkakaroon tayo ng inconsistencies. But please follow the ones in the handout for the structures kasi that is the most consistent across reference books. Okay?
Okay, so for ano lang standardization, lahat ng mga sasagot sa board exams na galing sa top notch, you follow the handout when it comes to the polarity. So in here, okay, so tyrosine is considered polar. Okay. And proline is considered non-polar. So follow yung nandun sa handouts ninyo. Okay? Next. Okay, nakita dito ni Prince, pinost pa niya nga ito sa Twitter. In Harrison,
actually kahapon lang din sakto.
okay, sickle cell disease involves a mutation involving the 7 amino acids. So even when I was in med school, pagkakaturo sa amin, 6 amino acid. So nakakagulat. Okay, in the latest version of Harrison's, binago nila. So according to Prince, if I am exam, please answer 7 amino acid. Pero kung sa biochem siya tinanong, please answer 6. Dahil hindi pa siya natababago in both review books and textbooks actually. So Prince, explain bakit nagkagulo, bakit iba?
Yes. So there are different rationale kung bakit siya na ganyan. Some say kasi because they included methionine. Yung start na na amino acid, 'di ba? Pag nagbasa ka ng amino acid, you start with methionine to. Sinama nila 'yon. So it can be because of that. And of course due to new standardization in genomics especially. But then again, yun nga, at the end of the day, ang mahalaga, kailangan alam mo if ano ba yung nagbago. I think yun yung mas matanong sa board exams din eh. So what happens to the amino acid afterwards, 'di ba? So in that situation, nagkaroon ka ng missense mutation, right? As lectured in genetics. So because of that, nagbabago ka ng nature ng iyong amino acid. From example, from a hydrophobic na amino acid, you become hydrophilic, for example. Nagbabago, di ba? You create distortion in the geometry of your protein. So pag nangyari yan, pwede siya maging defective, leading to abnormalities. So I think that's the concept na kailangan nyo matutunan dyan. And the most common example of missense mutation due to a point mutation is your sickle cell disease.
Okay. So once again, standardization across all the members ng Top Notch. Pag tinanong sa IM kung 6 or 7, given the choice, you answer 7. But any other subject outside of IM, you will answer 6 amino acid. Okay? So yun yung standard natin, guys, pagdating dito. Okay? Next, hereditary spherocytosis. May nagtanong na estudyante, Doc, in the handout, band 4.1, band 3. But in Harrison's, band 4.2, band 3. In Harper's, band 4.1, 4.2. So, ano po yung susundan?
Yes.
So, I'll explain this one.
So, these are actually part of your RBC membrane skeleton. Your ankyrin, your different bands, for example. So, yung mga bands na yan kasi, there are actually multiple genetic mutations that can lead to the phenotypic effect of hereditary spherocytosis. Diba, in biochemistry, in genetics, ang genotype, yung mutation sa ating gene, yung kanyang genetic presentation. But yung phenotype niya, yun yung nakikita mo clinically, what happens. So multiple mutations lead to one phenotype, which is your hereditary spherocytosis. And actually, sinabi rin nung nagtanong nakita niya na sa Harper's, iba rin sinabi ni Harper's. So that actually proves na there are actually inconsistencies. But what is most important here, as I've highlighted in my handout, is that ankyrin is the most common. It's the most common mutation leading to your hereditary spherocytosis. So please take note of that.
Okay. So focus on ankyrin rather than the other bands, because the other bands that may be affected, it will probably involve all of them. 4.1, 4.2, band 3. Okay?
Yes.
So magbabali na lang yan kung ano yung mas pahalagahan nila. Depende na lang doon sa book or reference na tinitingnan mo. Okay? Next. Okay, eto medyo naguluhan din ako. Chain lengths of fatty acids. Okay? In the Rubio handout, these are the values given. Medium chain fatty acids, 8 to 4 carbons. Long chain, more than 16. Very long chain, more than 22. But according to the Batculon video, okay, medium chain is 7 to 12. Long chain is 13 to 18. Very long chain is more than 18. So, friends, explain again. This is something to do with differences in the references.
Yes, again, maraming differences. Again, depende yan sa sa mga researches of any ginagamit ng demarcation. But across literature so far, the most consistent are these two categorization. SCFA is always 6 or less than carbon atoms, while VLCFA is always at least 22 carbon atoms. So please follow these two. Now, Dok, paano po yung MCFA and LCFA? Now, dyan nagkakaroon ng konting discrepancy. Iba yung sinasabi nila. But the one I gave to you actually came from a reference book na ang kanyang reference book ay Harper's, Harrison's, Nelson's, and even Leninger. So, talagang sininitista niya into one, and for that author, ang tingin niya, this is the best answer. This is the best categorization. So, please follow the one on your handout.
Okay, for standardization, once again, sinabihan na rin namin si Ronnie Bats regarding dito. Follow the one in your handout. Follow this one. So everyone in the top-notch program, okay, short chain is C2 to C6, medium chain, okay, 8 to 14, long chain, at least 16, very long chain, at least 22. Okay, next. Page 17. Okay, this is something to do with comprehension issue. In the video, vitamin D is derived from 7-dehydrocholesterol. In the handout, vitamin D is a product of 7-dehydrocholesterol. So I think na-confuse yung student regarding this table. Okay? So, guys, it's important to know context. Friends, can you explain it to them para mas
Okay. So siguro sa table na to, I have my own interpretation. So yun nga, doon nagkakapalo tama si Doc Broly doon. Like in the first column here, it's for me, it's the general what we call general group, parang more general, diba? The bile acids, diba? You have different type of bile acids. You have that column rather. Adrenal hormones, diba? Sila yung general na term. Now, doon sa ating product na column, andyan yung steroids sa aldosterone. Sex hormones, and of course, your testosterone and estradiol. Now, for the vitamin D, kasi I'm referring here to the vitamin D family. Yun yung kanyang point ko, ba't siya naligay dyan. Now, what happens here? Ang nangyari, the cholesterol in your skin may form dyan ng cholesterol na tinatawag na 7-dehydrocholesterol. Now, when you go outside, naarawan ka, di ba? Kasi gusto mo na kumain after review, di ba? Na-toxic ka ng konti. Pag naarawan ka, the ultraviolet radiation, tumatama sa balat mo yan. Ang nangyayari, it transforms your 7-dehydrocholesterol into your vitamin D3. Okay, so yun naman yung point ko dyan. So I guess, siguro di ko napansin din kasi in the latter part of our handout, I have a topic on vitamin D metabolism. So doon na ako nag-cringe na, okay, I think magagets naman nila to dito. But then again, I'll just fix this table for the future handouts.
Actually, for me ba, hindi ako nalito dito eh. Kasi ang interpretation ko dito, 7-dehydrocholesterol is the initial product ng cholesterol.
Yes.
Okay? Same way that primary bile acids and secondary bile acids are also initial products of cholesterol. You're thinking kasi of the final products of cholesterol, bile salts,
yes, yun nga siguro.
cortical hormones, sex hormones, and active vitamin D. May initial products, guys. Tama to. These are all products of or derivatives of cholesterol. May initial products, may final products. So 7-dehydrocholesterol, yan yung immediately galing from cholesterol mo upon exposure doon sa skin. Upon exposure, to be more specific, sa photons of sun. Okay? So it's an initial product. So tama yung handout. Pagdating ito,
kaya yun lang din eh. Kaya siya walang enzyme dyan kasi no enzyme is involved. It's because of electromagnetic radiation. Kumbaga.
Okay, next. On pyruvate kinase deficiency, page 17, left lower quadrant. In the yellow box annotation, okay, why was pyruvate kinase deficiency compared with G6PD? Is it because they both present with hemolytic anemia? Yes, that's the exact reason. So both present with hemolytic anemia. Okay? Ibang Heinz bodies sa Heinz cells, guys. Proper term actually is Heinz bodies. May alimutan ko kung saan subject may na-confuse na student regarding Heinz cells, Heinz bodies. The proper term is Heinz bodies. Okay? Next. DNA orientation. So page 19, okay, left upper quadrant, the Rubio handout. It is mentioned that all types of DNA are right-handed except cDNA. Then the next part of the left lower quadrant mentioned that DNA is wrapped over a histone octamer in a left-handed helix. Is it supposed to be right-handed, or does the left-handed helix pertain to histone orientation? So, friends, kindly explain this.
Okay. So yun nga. So think of two models here muna. Think of a yarn na naka-braid. So yung yarn mo na mahaba, naka-braid, dalawang yarn yan. Binraid mo siya. So you have two yarns representing one long structure. Then think of histones as baseballs for example. Medyo malaking bola kunwari para yung yarn kaya mo maikot doon. So the braided yarn, you can have two orientation. Pwedeng overlapping na pa-left, pwedeng pa-right side. Okay? Ganun siya bale. And that is how you term your DNA helix formation. It can be right-handed, seen in most types of DNA, or it can be left-handed. Like for example, in your zDNA. So, ang most common natin na form is dapat right-handed siya, your bDNA. Example, na-breed mo na yung yarn mo. Tapos na. Okay, so meron kang mahabang structure. Eh di ba, ano ba ang point ng ating histones? Histones are the most common na protein inside the nucleus. Ang point niya is to condense the very, very long DNA. Kasi pag yung DNA, hindi nakakondense yan, sobrang haba niyan. Okay? Lalampas sa katawan mo yan, basically. So you have to compact it. Ang gagawin mo, yung yarn na ginawa mo, ikutin mo yan sa yung baseball lang ikutin. Now, ang tanong ko sa'yo, paano mo siya gusto ikutin? Pa-left ba o pa-right? Now, to be biochemically correct, to be biochemically stable, ang gusto ng katawan natin ay dapat pa-left mo yung ikot sa kanya. Kaya iikutin mo yung iyong braided yarn sa ating baseball ng left-handed. Ganun po siya. So, don't be confused on that. Okay, think of these two models.
Okay, some nice to know facts that is actually very interesting. The total length of your DNA in each of your cell is almost 3 billion base pairs long. If you get that, if you unwind the DNA from the histones from a single cell, the length of the DNA is 2 meters or 6 feet, approximately 6 feet. Bawat cell. So if you get all the cells in the body, more than 10 trillion yung cells mo in total eh. If someone did the math, okay, if you get all of your DNA in the human body, put them, okay, in a single line, the distance that will be covered is from the Earth to the Sun 61 times. So that's how long your DNA is, at kung gaano kahaba at kung gaano kadami yan. Okay? Next, page 23. For computing TAE, how do we know which activity to use? Okay? So may naitapat dito, friends. May nagtanong din ng mga may formula and discussion tayo. So kindly explain this to them.
Okay. So now this is a complex mechanism. Sakto Doc Broly, I'm rotating right now in stress testing sa cardio rotation ko, second year. So kahit mga cardiologists, kahit mga fellows, kahit mga consultants, hindi nila memorize yung mga METs. METs are your metabolic equivalents. For example, when you are just sedentary, nakahiga ka lang, your METs would be probably around 0 to 4, for example. 4 to 7 pataas moderate, 7 pataas intense yung exercise na kaya mong gawin. So usually in clearances, ganyan, bago ka mapasa for surgery, gusto mo sana at least 4 pataas pwede ka. So yun nga lang kasi, mahirap siya matanong in the exam. Kasi if you're gonna ask me, tumatakbo siya, ganyan, di ba? So mahirap masabi kasi you need a reference material. You need to have the very, very big table that I don't recommend you memorizing. Why memorize a very, very long table? Well, kung lumabas man siya, fine. So 1 point. But, lugi ka sa, nice to know lang yun eh. In the board exams, you must know the must-knows. Diba? But then, ganyan nga, hindi tatanungin yan. I'm kind of confident about it. Kung lumabas man, hindi rin naman alam naming lahat. Hindi ko nga rin alam kung paano siya competent. So, yun nga, you just need the METs para makompute siya. So, don't worry about that. Ang more important for me is that you know these values. At least, yan, may idea ka ng konti. Pag sedentary adult ka, yan yung iyong energy requirement. Pag moderately active ka, ayan. Pag very active, yan yung meron tayo. Okay?
Okay, next. B9 deficiency, very interesting also. Okay, so vitamin B9 is folic acid or folate. How does folate supplementation mask the hematologic symptoms of vitamin B12 deficiency? Prince?
Okay. So B9 and B12, yan yung masarap i-compare and contrast eh. B9 and B12 are part of your vitamin D complex. Medyo kakaiba yung dalawang yan from the rest of the family members. Actually, interesting bakit sila B9 tsaka B12? It's because of the time kung kailan sila na-discover. So B1 hanggang B12, doon sila na-discover. Kaso yung ibang mga B members, hindi pala talaga true vitamins. So natanggal sila sa listahan. Okay, anyway, so going back to B12 kasi, if that is deficient, it can lead to two consequences. One, neurological problems, having an irreversible demyelination of your posterior columns of your spinal cord. Pangalawa, we'll have a reversible subsequent na B9 deficiency. Diba, alam natin in histology, both B9 and B12 lead to macrocytic anemia. Okay, meaning malaki yung kanilang cell volume relative to the normal na hemoglobin, na RBC. So, nangyayari yung B12 na macrocytic anemia kasi meron tayong tinatawag na methyl trap. Now, hindi ko na siya in-explain masyado kasi it's so toxic to understand for a board exam level. But ang point nun is that if you have B12 deficiency, it will also lead to B9 deficiency, which is reversible in nature. Kaya you may give a patient with B12 deficiency B9 or folic acid para ma-treat mo yung kanyang, or at least magkaroon ka ng supportive treatment for his or her anemia.
Okay, next. On enzymes, our page 36, left lower quadrant of our handout. A simple enzyme synonymous with apoenzyme and is complex enzyme synonymous with holoenzyme. So may na-confuse sa part na to, Prince?
Yeah, so let's clarify things, for example, para mas magets sila bale. So think of simple enzymes and complex enzymes as the general term. Ang mga enzymes sa simple lang, they're only pure protein. Okay, kapag nabuo sila ng iyong ribosomes, they're already functioning. Ang yung mga complex enzymes, the other set, pag nabuo sila ng iyong ribosomes, hindi pa sila functional. They need a non-protein component para sila maging active in processing. Okay, so ipasantabi muna natin yung ating simple enzyme. Let's now focus on your complex enzymes. Now, yung nabuo na complex enzyme na pure protein, ang tawag sa kanya ay apoenzyme. It's an apoenzyme. Is it functioning? It's not functioning. Therefore, apoenzymes are not synonymous to your simple enzymes. Now, paano ko mapapagana si apoenzymes? Kailangan kong i-conjugate sa kanya or i-dedicate sa kanya ang isang non-protein na substance. Pag kinabit ko sa kanya, the apoenzyme becomes a holoenzyme. It means whole na yung ating enzyme na. A very good example here is your iron and apoferritin. Ayun. O sige guys, so iron is the mineral, di ba? It is the non-protein compartment. Apoferritin is an apoenzyme. Is apoferritin functional? Hindi pa. It needs to be conjugated with iron para siya maging ferritin. So apoferritin is the apoenzyme. The iron is the non-protein component, while the ferritin is the holoenzyme. Okay? You form your ferritin after.
Okay. So basically, simple enzymes are not synonymous with apoenzymes. Okay? And complex enzymes is actually apoenzyme plus a non-protein component. Okay? Next. Transferrin. Okay. Page 42, left lower quadrant, Dr. Baticulon handout. So, Doc, tanong ng estudyante, in the surgery handout, transferrin is increased in iron deficiency. Shouldn't transferrin saturation increase to transport as much iron as possible? And in hemochromatosis, shouldn't transferrin saturation decrease to minimize iron transport because there's already too much iron? So some things you need to remember, ibang transferrin sa transferrin saturation. Okay, Prince, can you discuss this one?
Okay. So I think it's a really common na common confusion among yung mga mga mag-aano pa lang tapos ng board exams. So transferrin, it refers to the protein that carries free iron in the blood. While transferrin saturation, yan yung ating parameter na ginagamit. So this is a formula consisting of two parameters. Serum iron as the numerator and total iron binding capacity as the denominator. So ano bang point ng formula na to? Ang T-sat, it refers kung gaano ba ka-saturated ang ating transferrin. If mataas ang iyong T-sat, you are very saturated. Ano ibig sabihin ng saturation? Meaning, punong-puno ka ng iron. Si transferrin ay punong-puno ng iron. So, it is a sign of hemochromatosis. Kasi marami kang iron, leading to iron overload. Now, kapag mababa ang iyong T-sat, usually in IDA, umabot din ng less than 10 to 20% according to Harrison's. So, ganun kababa siya, bale. It means, konti lang ang iron na nakadikit sa pool of transferrin mo. Therefore, it's a marker for iron deficiency anemia. Kaya you have low T-sat in IDA, but you have high T-sat in iron overload.
Okay, so parang na-confuse yung student by dun sa cause and effect dito sa part.
Yes, a cause and effect.
Cause and effect na? Okay.
And the terminology din. Oh.
So ito lang. Okay, take note of the T-sat in IDA when only are at this level. Okay, next. An amino acid, is it correct that basic amino acids are positively charged and acidic amino acids are negatively charged? So take note that basic amino acids are positively charged at physiologic pH, except for histidine, which is a weak base. So this is from Bonnie Batts. Okay, next. That's it. Okay, for our corrections and clarifications for biochem. So, by the way, before I go, I hope you had a good time with biochem. Okay, magandang na lecturers, sina Prince at sina Ronnie Batts, maganda yung combination nila. Okay, para silang Avengers. For tomorrow, for legal med, okay, please take note of this. Medyo iba yung magiging strategy, ang recommendations namin kung paano nyo aralin ang legal med juris. Sa legal med at med juris, uunahin nyo munang basahin yung buong handout bago nyo panoorin yung videos nila Dr. Remosa. So hindi siya yung katulad na ginagawa natin so far na sabay yung panonoorin yung video at handout. Okay? I'll discuss why tomorrow. It has something to do with the way nag-lecture yung sina Abet and Doc Tony. They tend to integrate and jump topics. So kapag pisundan namin yung PowerPoint nila, magiging magulo masyado yung handout. We've done that when we were starting more than 15 years ago. So we decided na ibahin para magkaroon ng logical flow yung handouts ninyo. Hindi siya yung flow nila Dr. Rebosa. Kasi nga nagtitend silang mag-integrate at mag-jump across topics very, very quickly. So first 2 days of your legal med, handout muna. Okay? Madali lang naman basahin yung legal med juris eh. Okay? And then sa third day, doon yung panoorin yung videos nila. Yun yung pinaka-optimal. So with that, good luck, God bless. I now turn you over to Dr. Prince. Enjoy his lecture, summary lecture.
Alright. Summary lecture tayo. Don't worry, let's make it a chill, fun na lecture na at least to reintegrate stuff in biochem. Okay? Sorry kung para antok ng mukha ko konti. Medyo wala akong tulog these days as a resident. But let's see. Okay, I'll start with this slide. Okay. Sige. So we have your summary lecture for biochemistry. Once again, I'm Dr. Rubio. So hopefully okay naman kayo guys. Okay, let's prioritize the different concepts in biochemistry. What are the most important concepts? What are the concepts na baka matanong-tanong ng konti dyan? We'll see the trends. Okay. Let's first focus on Gen Chem concepts. So thermodynamics, doctors, pag-usapan natin yan. It is how heat is being transferred from one object to another in a system in the universe, basically. So there are 4 laws of thermodynamics: zeroth law, first law, second law, and third law. Now, don't be afraid in memorizing kayo. Madali lang yan. Kaya isipin nyo dyan, guys. The first law of thermodynamics is the first law na natutunan mo about energy back in grade school. Okay? It is energy is neither created nor destroyed, only transformed from one form to another. For example, in signal transduction in the eyes, di ba? Light energy, tatama sa mata mo, di ba? It becomes, is being transformed via signal transduction into electrical energy afterwards. So that is the first law of thermodynamics. The first law you learn in grade school. Second law, think about entropy. Entropy, 2. It's all about entropy. And ang point niya is that ang tendency ng mga bagay-bagay in the universe ay to go into disorder. Gaya na sabi ko before, only life is the one trying to find order in the universe of disorderliness. Okay? Third law, entropy, okay, becomes constant as you go to absolute zero. Now, ano ba ibig sabihin ng temperature? The proper definition of temperature is that it refers to the movement of your molecules. Now, think of this an analogy, okay? You have an engine ng kotse mo, di ba? Pag ang engine ng kotse ay hindi gumagalaw, ay sa hindi ka nagpatapuan ng kotse, hindi yan nagbabibrate, right? So, walang nangyayari. There's no heat, di ba? There's no disorder. So, blank value siya. At zero temperature, okay, for example, hindi rin gumagalaw yung mga molecules mo. Therefore, hindi ka disordered. No, kapag ang kotse ay pinaandar mo, nagbabibrate siya, di ba? As you vibrate the car, nagkakaroon siya ng heat after, right? Ganun po yung nangyari sa ating mga molecules. As they vibrate harder, faster, bumping each other around, heat is being generated. So as temperature rises, mas makalat ang yung molecules, pak. And because that happens, you are having entropy. Pero kapag still lang sila, hindi sila gumagalaw, entropy becomes a constant value. Okay, so that is your third law. Well, a zeroth law, it's basically the transitive property. Pardon about that. Nabulag lang din ako. I think I am post-duty when I recorded that video. But yun nga, if A is equals to C, B is equals to C, then A is equals to B. Okay? Okay, methods of heat transfer is very important. Conduction. Okay, basically kapag meron kang direct contact. Yun nga. Ang nangyari dyan guys, makawa ka ng kalan na mainit, malilipat ang init sa kamay mo afterwards. That's conduction. Convection is happening in fluids. Fluids are involved here are your air and water. Radiation. Siya ang kakaiba dyan. Hindi niya kailangan ng medium para mapasa ang heat from one object to another. Okay, ang nangyari dyan, kailangan mo ng electromagnetic radiation, simply known as light, para mangyari yan. So, there are 3 types of ultraviolet rays coming from the sun. A, B, and C. So, yun nga, sorry for that, di ko lang ata na-delete ng konti, but A is for accelerated aging, B, it's a bad mutation, okay, leading to burns, can lead to cancers. So, marami tayong pwedeng mnemonic dyan. Well, C is the one being screened by the ozone layer. So, at present, we still have the ozone layer. So, the UVC is still being screened. So please, this is the correct answer. But over time, when global warming progresses, baka yung UVC na ang maging number 1 cause ng cancers and burns kasi hindi na-screen ng ating ozone kapag nasira siya ang ating UV light C. Okay. Guys, let's talk about etymology. Etymology is about the origin of words. Okay guys, origin of the words. So minsan, don't complicate stuff. Yung sagot minsan nasa pangalan mismo ng ating terminology. So let's review this testable concept. A, diabatic. A means without. Dia meaning dalawa, either loss or gain. A diabatic process. Okay? Constant. Lahat ng may iso, constant yan. Asynthalpic, constant enthalpy. Asyntropy, constant entropy, and so on. While steady state, all parameters are held constant, meaning wala kang binago doon. So, steady state lang siya dito. Thermoregulation in humans. So, parati to guys, always remember, when you hear the term hypothalamus, always think of the organ controlling body temperature as one of its major functions. So there are actually 4 means of losing heat in humans: convection, conduction, and radiation, as discussed earlier. Now, evaporation is actually the effect of mostly of your convection. So, di ba, when you evaporate pang isang bagay, nangyayari, ang mainit na air molecules ay tumataas, it goes up. Ang mga molecules na malamig, they go down. So, pinagpawisan ka, nag-ano ka, Spartan race ka, nag-gym ka, tumakbo ka sa labas, nag-bike ka, nagkakaroon ka ng perspiration sa balat mo, right? So, nangyayari, kapag yung ating sunlight namamasa yung balat na may pawis, yung pawis ay magiging mainit. Habang tumataas ang temperature niya, siya ay may tendency na maging gas afterward. So, tataas yung ating hot gas molecules, pero bababa ang ating cold molecules. So, because of that, nagkakaroon ka ng tinatawag na evaporative cooling. Kasi yung gas molecules na katabi ng iyong balat ay mas malamig na. Okay? Now, what if the skin temperature is higher than the environment temperature? Okay? It means mas mainit ka kaysa sa environment mo. So, you are actually losing heat via 2 methods: radiation and conduction. Conduction, kapag mainit ka, di ba, hinawakan mo yung friend mo. Di ba? Uy, ang init-init mo naman, di ba? So, meron kang conduction doon. But the major is radiation. Actually, all matter in the universe radiate, pero not so much compared to your sun na nagkakaroon ka ng light, nagkakaroon ka ng visibility of light. Okay? But, pag ganun ang usapan, always think of radiation as the major. Ang parang simple na analogy ko dyan, for example, ayan, may hot na person, okay, na nakita ka, di ba? Mapapansin mo siya, di ba? Nag-radiate agad yung vibe niya across the room. So, ganoon mo siya isipin para matandaan yung concept na ito. Now, what if the environment is higher, okay, than the skin in terms of temperature? So, the best method here is to have evaporation. But take note that humidity may affect thermoregulation by limiting sweat evaporation and thus heat loss. Right now, okay, napaka-humid, di ba? Kahit na umulan after, pero parang feeling mo, parang nakukulog yung heat sa katawan mo. It's because of the humid temperature in tropical countries such like the Philippines. Okay? Alright, now let's talk about heat gain. Paano ka nagkakaroon ng heat in the process? So, there are actually 2 methods here. One is your shivering thermogenesis and non-shivering thermogenesis. So first, focus on shivering. Kung malamig, di ba, gusto mo magka-heat, di ba? Ang tendency mo ay magkakaroon ka ng contraction of your body muscles. And because of that, heat will generate. Okay, so there are 2 types of shivering: low intensity and high intensity. Always remember, guys, kapag ang kailangan mo ay agad-agaran at very intense agad, you always use glucose as your fuel. So for your short-term, high need for shivering, ginagamit mo ang ating glucose. Pero kapag pangmatagalan, di ba, you use fat in the process. So low intensity shivering pero pangmatagalan, doon ka gumagamit ng fat molecules. Kaya for example, okay, I think that is a story ni Dr. Baticulon. Pupunta ka ng isang marathon, di ba? Ang gusto mo is magkaroon ka ng intake of glucose at least 1 to 2 days before your event, kasi gusto mo mag-store ng maraming glycogen. Kasi pag kailangan mo ng rapid burst of activity during the marathon, you want to use your glucose in the process. So think of that concept. Now for lower mammals, okay, especially bears, for example, yung mga oso, ganun. Yung pa pala yung usa, deer pala yun. So they have your brown adipocytes or brown fat. Okay? Brown fat, because of that, nangyayari, it generates its own heat kahit hindi sila gumalaw. And that is what you know as your non-shivering thermogenesis. Guys, pH maraming nalilito pa din dyan. Okay, don't forget, kapag low pH ka, you have a higher hydrogen concentration. Pag high pH ka, you have a low hydrogen concentration. Again, the normal pH in the serum is 7.35 to 7.45. Now, let's move on to your amino acids and proteins. Okay, medyo mahaba to kasi ito halos yung pinakabida sa ating macromolecules. Guys, paspasan tayo dito, okay? Most common organic molecule in the body, protein. Pero pag ang usapan ay environment, it's your carbohydrates. The most common protein in the body is your collagen. To be specific, your type 1 collagen, the one found in your bones. The largest protein, I think wala sandot yan, but this take note is your titin kasi malaki ang mga titans. Diba? Sa ating Attack on Titan, malalaki ang ating mga titans, so titin is the largest protein in the body. An amino acid, it is a chiral. The smallest side chain is your glycine because the side chain of glycine is only hydrogen. So it means it is a chiral. Moreover, it has the smallest side chain because hydrogen is the smallest atom in the periodic table. Deuterion, it refers to an amino acid bearing no charge. Okay, so kapag ang nangyari dyan, both the amino part and the acid part are actually charged, pwede mag-cancel out sila dyan. Kasi positive against a negative charge, nagka-cancel out in the process. Okay, ang tawag sa ganyang phenomenon ay deuterion phenomenon. Okay guys, mga first lang to, branch chain amino acids accumulating in MSUD, your maple syrup urine disease, valine, leucine, and isoleucine. The one accumulating in your phenylketonuria, that is your phenylalanine. The side chain is your tryptophan. Increase in cardiovascular disease is your homocysteine. And take note that homocysteine is actually increase in both folate and cobalamin deficiency, both your B9 and B12 deficiencies. What interrupts an alpha helix in globular proteins are your proline and glycine. Now think of this mnemonic para hindi kayo malito. Kapag batay gutom ka na, nakapila ka sa cafeteria, you try to break the line. Diba? No, gutom na ako, diba? So you try to break the line para mauna na sa pila. So you're breaking the line, you're breaking here the alpha helix, that is your line. So PG, proline, the one involved in the transfer of your long-chain fatty acid to mitochondria for beta oxidation, that is your carnitine. Arginine is a semi-essential amino acid. So as mentioned, diba, kapag essential, it should be found in the diet. Non-essential, diet. In times of adolescence, puberty, diba, meron kang increased need to make skeleton. Kasi tumatangkad ka eh. You're having your growth spurt. So during these times, you need to have arginine. And not only that, in terms of stress, in terms of after surgery, you require arginine, okay, to perform repair afterwards. So arginine, from being non-essential, dahil nagkukulang sa katawan mo, okay, kailangan mo siyang kainin sa diet mo, making it semi-essential. 21st amino acid discovered in the body is your selenocysteine, and the 22nd amino acid is your pyrrolysine. And testable concept here, it's found in archaea. More on that on microbiology, okay? Archaea is what? It's a domain in the tree of life. Okay, meron kang archaea, meron kang eukarya, meron kang prokarya. Archaea are actually related to eukaryotes, pero mukha silang bacteria. They're found in extreme environments. Okay, sa tabi ng mga volcanoes, sa mga hot springs, ganun. But they're also found in the GI tract. Kaya siya medically important somehow. Kasi they can influence actually metabolism according to new studies right now. Sabi nila, your microbiota can affect your cardiovascular health. And there are some studies confirming this new hypothesis. Guys, basic na to sa inyo. Inhibition and excitation in the CNS. Kapag ang usapan ay excitation, so with glutamic acid, excitation parati yun. Pero pag inhibition, okay, depende yan sa ating part ng CNS. Kapag GABA, brain. Kapag spinal cord, glycine ang ating neurotransmitter here. Okay, guys, I have not included this in your handout kasi nasa handout na rin naman siya, but probably in the next handouts. But this is a good slide showing you the derivatives of amino acids. Doc, ano ba yung mga important dyan? Okay, one, you must know, of course, pare. Okay, trip mo siya, no? Tryptophan forming your melatonin, serotonin, and your niacin. Okay? Pare, true love does not exist. Guys, sabi L dito, it's an L-dopa. Pare, true love does not exist. Must at least memorize that kasi it can be asked in physio as well on how you form your catecholamines. Okay, guys? Konting review ng physio. Ano ba ang most common na pinaproduce ni adrenal medulla? It's your epinephrine. 80% ay epinephrine. Pero pag-uusapan ay mga nerves na, majority dyan ay norepinephrine. Okay? More important stuff, Doc. Glycine. Okay, that's the parent amino acid for your heme formation. Guys, alam niyo na yan, private team hall always argues but never tires. These are essential amino acids. But the A is always arginine. Okay, arginine dyan, it represents your semi-essential amino acid ng arginine. But never tyrosine. So lahat ng team mo nasa essential, pero tyrosine, it is a form of a non-essential amino acid. Okay guys, protein structures, di ba? You have 4, primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary. Ang matanong dyan guys, one of them is ito. You read the amino acid sequence from the amino side, the N-terminus side, going to the C-terminus. My mnemonic here, N-terminus, the amino side, C-terminus, the carboxylic side. Diba? So, amino acid. Okay, so guys, the bonding here is also important. Doc, ang dami naman. Ganito lang yan para mas simple. Lahat ng structures, of course, may peptide bond. That is the bond that combines one amino acid residue to another. Now, when memorizing tables, you don't have to memorize everything. Only memorize yung mga mas konting laman. And yung trick dyan, don't complicate stuff. Marami pa kayong aralin. Okay? So, ang memories pala dyan, guys, primary structure peptide bond lang yan. Pag secondary, ang dagdag dyan ay only your hydrogen bonding. Ang tertiary quaternary, almost everything nandun na. That's how you attack this table. Okay? Now, the only structure that is not affected by denaturation is your primary structure. The one which is only made up of what? Made up of only, tama kayo, sir, peptide bonds. So let's talk about the N-terminus and C-terminus. They are very important, not only in reading the amino acid sequence. N-terminus contains your targeting signals, while C-terminus contains your retention signals. These signals are important for what we call your cell trafficking and sorting. Doc, ano ibig sabihin yan? Now, natin yung kwento dyan. If you have protein synthesis, nangyari yan pare saan? Sa ating mga ribosomes. Can be a free ribosome, can be a ribosome attached to your rough endoplasmic reticulum. Yung mga free ribosomes, kaya sila free kasi they want to produce proteins that are needed by the cytoplasm. So, box na yun. You don't have to package them after. Now, yung mga protein na nagagawa sa ating rough endoplasmic reticulum, meron niyang kinakausap na Golgi apparatus. The Golgi apparatus, siya yung taga-package, kumbaga. So, ginagawa niya, parang RER, saan papadala to? Papadala daw niya sa lysosome. So, si Golgi apparatus, maglalagay siya ng targeting signal sa package na protein at ipapadala niya to sa ating lysosome. So, that is for cell trafficking and sorting. Okay? So, if the protein needs to enter an organelle, N-terminus should contain targeting signals. Basically, parang ganito siya, guys. The RER is the factory. The Golgi apparatus is yung Shopee. Okay? Siya yung tagalagay ng targeting signals natin. Napapadala mo kay Crush. Okay? Yung ating pindala. So, guys, if torpe ka right now, okay lang yan. Pero wag mo na ngayon, after na ng board exam. So, padala mo si crush ng isang simple gift. Basta not too creepy, okay? Take note, guys, the bond that is preserved when proteins are denatured is your peptide bond, since it's the only bond found in the primary structure. Guys, minsan, nasusurutan konti yung biochem ng mga ibang medical physiology and minsan patho concepts. One of them is your protein folding disorders, your prion diseases. Yan yung mga Kuru, yung mga Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, okay, yung mga mad cow disease. These are your spongiform encephalopathy syndromes. Ang nangyari dyan, nagkakaroon ka ng accumulation ng ating prion-related protein na may SC or scrapie. Kasi they're beta-plated sheets. Normally kasi, they are actually PRPC proteins. And they are alpha helix information. That is the normal form. Pag alpha helix information nila, they're actually labeled to chemicals and proteases. Pero due to multiple mechanisms, some of them, malastan talaga. Nagkakaroon ka ng sporadic mutation. Some of them ay nakakain ng prion disease, such as in Kuru. Kuru, ito yung sakit among Papua New Guinea tribes kung saan they eat their relatives kapag namatay sila. It's their tradition eh. So, nagkakasakit sila, kakaroon ng Kuru. So, kapag minalas-malas ka or nakakain ka ng taong may prion problem or nahawa ka via instruments, yung PRPC mo, magiging PRPSC sila, which is actually beta-plated, the abnormal form. And that form is actually resistant to proteases and chemicals. Kaya pinakayo ko sa lahat ay prion. Although meron nga one time sa hospital na prion disease, pero nakakatakot. Ayoko na munang puntahan kasi nakakatakot yun. Anyway, hindi naman siya nakadeck sa akin. Okay, so Alzheimer's naman tayo. Alzheimer's, the most common na neurodegenerative disease of the brain. Okay? So, ang matanong dyan usually is the ApoE. Okay? Specifically, guys, sorry, my mistake. Please include ano ba yung allele na nagkakos niyan sa yung ApoE4. It's your epsilon 4 na ApoE. It's actually potential mediator for initiating your Alzheimer's disease problem. Next slide. Hemoglobin configuration. Okay? Notably, nakakalimutan ng students yan. Thought form or R form, or T form, relax form, or R form. Pareho lang sila. Pag relax form ka, you have high oxygen affinity. Pag thought ka, kapag parang stress ka, ganun, you have low oxygen affinity. Now, kung relax ka, di ba, you're more huggable, di ba? You're more relaxed, di ba? So, you can more accommodate people. Pero pag stress ka, thought ka, ayaw mo sa tao, basically. So, you have low oxygen affinity. Collagen fibers. Whenever you hear the term tensile strength, always think of PAC. Collagen fibers. Okay? Guys, the required substances in hydroxylation is very important. It's in your lecture. Forgot to put it in your handout. Sorry. Tagal na yan. Nakalimutan ko lang talaga. But take note of these four. Vitamin C, the ferrous iron, as discussed before in your diagnostic exam. Oxygen, and your alpha ketoglutarate. Pag cross-linking, kailangan niyang copper. Kasi copper is required for your lysyl oxidase enzyme. Now, if you have a defect in the hydroxylation step, scurvy tawag dyan kasi you can have vitamin C deficiency there. Okay? Ay, sorry, mali ito guys. Hindi ko lang nabago. This is not scurvy. Yan ay Menkes disease. Okay? Cross-linking problem, you have poor copper in the body. That is your Menkes disease. Okay? You can have that problem. Now, if you have a problem in triple helix formation, as one of the steps, can lead to OI or osteogenesis imperfecta. Ano ba yan, guys? It's the brittle bone disease, meaning madaling mabali ang yung buto. Kasi haphazard yung kanyang collagen fibers. So, hindi maganda yung kanyang pagkakagawa. So, because of that, ang mga problems lang niya, hindi lang po sa bone. Can have a blue sclera. So, guys, in the exam, they ask for typical manifestations. It's all about pattern recognition. Panabasa mo, guys, blue sclera. Sa basa mo, brittle bone, pak, that is your osteogenesis imperfecta. Guys, parating na to lagi. Bone type 1, cartilage type 2. Your type 3 collagen is or reticulin fibers. 4 on the floor, type 4. Type 7 are anchoring fibrils. They are like hooks. Okay, they hook your basal cells to the basement membrane. Okay, so OI is a bone problem. Achondrogenesis is a cartilage problem. Okay, Alport syndrome. Ano ba yan, Doc? Okay, it's your hearing loss, ocular problems, and hematuria. Diyan nagkaka-problem ka with type 4 collagen. Now, kapag meron kang good posture, you can have two symptoms, major. Hemoptysis and hematuria. Doc, bakit? Kasi your lung, basement membrane, and your kidneys share the same collagen fiber, type 4. Yung type 4 kasi may mga subtype pa yan. But for IM na yan, hindi na malaman at this level. Or for pato siguro. Now, ano yan, pag defective yung protein na yun, it involves both, it both damages your lungs and your kidney in the process. So you can have hemoptysis and hematuria. And both of them are a problem of your type 4 collagen fiber. Guys, okay, mali yan. Okay, sorry. Again, mahirap talaga when you're checking your own slides kasi medyo bias ka na, alam mo yung okay na. So, elastin fibers is elasticity. Matik yan. Pero ano bang problema sa ating Marfan syndrome? It is the fibrillin. Fibrillin is the scaffold protein para magawa ang ating elastin fibers. Pero kang dyan parang template, siya yung template mo, doon mo ginagawa yung iyong elastin fiber. Now, Marfan syndrome, okay, you have here multiple problems. You can have a lanky body, mahaba, tall, matangkad. Okay, dahil matangkad ka, pangat yung collagen mo, you have high risk for one, pneumothorax. Pangalawa, you can have aneurysms kasi nga, pangit yung collagen sa yung blood vessels. And now, you also have many problems, basically. But there's actually a distinct feature here na gusto ko malaman nyo at the clinical level. Okay, at least baka matanong sa IM, baka matanong sa pato. Marfan syndrome has lens ectopia or ectopia lentis, meaning displaced ang ating lens. Pero meron siyang unique feature. The lens are displaced supero-temporal or upward-outward. Now, in this scenario, guys, think of a patient na may Marfan syndrome na Doc, tingnan mo, I have long, lanky arms. So, we have a supero-temporal na lens dislocation. Okay? Kasi, kakaiba yan compared to your homocystinuria. They also have ectopia lentis, pero iba nga yung direction. Goes downward and inward or inferonasal. Meaning, pababa siya, papunta sa iyong midline, sa iyong ilong. Okay, so take note of this clinical distinction. Guys, your IGs, okay? Tanong yan. Antigen, okay, that's the epitope. Andun na ating epitope interacting with the antibody. The antibody naman has its paratope involved in the immune complex formation. Papain, the one found in papaya, okay, can destroy your immunoglobulin into 3 parts. Papain, or the pepsin in your stomach can divide it into 2 parts. So, kung isipin nyo guys, kung kumain ka ng papaya, okay, at meron kang immunoglobulin sa iyong tiyan, nasisira siya into multiple mechanisms. One, papaya destroying your immunoglobulins to 3 parts. And your stomach destroying your immunoglobulins into 2 parts. Papain, 3 parts. Pepsin, 2 parts. Okay, guys, function. These are also found in your handout, don't worry. Nasa immunology lang siya, okay? Most produced IG, IgA, most abundant, your IgG. Complement activation, the one that activates the classical pathway of complement system, IgM and IgG. The one that may pass the placenta is your IgG. But siya importante na malaman kasi take note of your torch infections, okay? If meron kang bata na bagong panganak, meron siyang mga malformation, you want to test for congenital abnormalities. Because of that, mamimili ka, what test to use? A serology containing IgG or IgM. Siyempre yung bata, if meron siyang congenital infection, namanan niya sa kanyang nanay. So the best antibody to use for testing is your IgM. Kasi it means if ang bata ay nag-positive sa IgM for that specific disease, ibig sabihin ay most likely siya ang gumawa nun. Kasi IgM cannot pass through the placenta. Kasi pag nag-IgG ka sa bata na mayroong congenital manifestations due to infection, baka kasi galing yan sa iyong sa nanay ng ating bata na pasyente. Kasi IgG can pass through the placenta. So you can have a false positive result. Okay? IgE, mast cell activation causing anaphylaxis, causing allergies, helminth infection, IgE pa rin tayo. And even parasites. Now, ano ba yung mga nakadagay na Ig sa ating B cells na hindi pa exposed sa totoong mundo, the naive B cells, the one that are not exposed yet to the antigen outside. So it's IgM and IgD. Now, some texts say, lumabas to before, IgD has what we call immunomodulation function. So, was asked before. Primary immune response, IgM ang unang tumataas, pero pag sa katawan mo, okay, sa infection, IgG yung sumunod na tumataas. At mas tumataas siya at mas malakas kumpara sa IgM. That's your secondary immune response. Now, carbohydrates. Carbs, as mentioned, is the most common in nature. And these monosaccharides, the building blocks of the carbohydrates, are actually bounded by the glycosidic bonds. Cellulose, plant cell, chitin, fungal cell walls, insect and crustacean exoskeleton. The universal fuel of the body and the fetus is glucose, glycogen storage in animals, starch in plants, while these sugars is the most common configuration of sugars in the body. You have to know that because in the proteins, ano ba ang kanilang configuration? It's in the L configuration. Proteins, L configuration in the body. While sugars are mostly D configuration. Guys, glycogen, okay, it's the storage form for in your animals. Okay, now, ang glycogen, hindi siya parang perfectly straight na structure. Okay, it's actually a very fluffy structure. So kapag linear part niya is being connected by alpha-1 for linkages. Pero if magkakaroon ka ng branching, okay, alpha-1,6 yan. Ang starch mo naman, it composed of two main components. Okay, an amylose and an amylopectin. So paano sila nagkakaiba? Ang amylose mo is less in number. Ang amylopectin mo, it's the majority of your starch. Pero ang amylose mo is actually a perfectly straight structure siya. It's only composed of 1 linkage. So straight structure lang yan. Pero ang amylopectin mo, it acts just like your glycogen. Meron siyang 1,6 linkage. Glucose transporters. So, madali lang yan, guys. Kapag G ang iyong simula, automatic, it's because of your facilitated diffusion mechanism. Pero pag meron kang SGLT, kasi sodium is being used here, it's a form of secondary active transport. Now, how to memorize this, guys? You only memorize the very pertinent ones. GLUT4 is insulin-dependent. Kailangan mo ng insulin para gumana sa GLUT4 mo. They're only found in two histological structures: adipose tissue and striated muscle. So, is GLUT4 found in smooth muscles? Hindi po, kasi it's non-striated. So, it can be found in two structures, in the cardiac tissue and in the skeletal muscles, because they are striated. GLUT2, think of two stuff always. Beta cells. Beta is the second letter of the Greek alphabet. You have two kidneys. Okay, you have two major lobes of the liver, the left and the right. Okay, GI tract, GI has two letters. So, GLUT2 ang kanilang major mechanism. Now, ito guys, yung kanilang location. In the GI tract, okay, the GLUT5 is found at the side of the lumen. Siya yung nag-absorb. While the GLUT2 naman is found at the basement membrane of your GI lumen. Okay, magbisay ng konti, lipids naman tayo. Okay guys, the major storage form of lipids at the body is your triglyceride. Guys, it's the same with your triacylglycerol. Don't be scared, pareho lang po yan. Now, let's have a summary of your properties of your lipoproteins. CM, the chylomicrons, they are the ones having the highest triglyceride content. Tapos, dahil sobrang laki nila, chylomicrons sila, having the largest diameter and full of triglycerides. They tend to float on in water. They'll go upward. Kaya they have the lowest density. Okay? LDL, has the highest cholesterol content, the bad cholesterol. HDL, the good cholesterol, contains mainly protein. Okay? The major route of elimination of cholesterol is via the bile excretion. Now, let's think about a clinical scenario here. Dahil doon na lumalabas ating cholesterol. Okay? We know in physiology, di ba, kapag hindi ka pa kumakain, bile is temporarily stored in the gallbladder. Actually, when you fast too long, ang nangyari, nag-store ng ating nag-crystallize ang ating cholesterol sa ating gallbladder. Pag nangyari yun, magkakaroon ka ng gallstones in the process. Ano pa scenario dyan, guys? When you diet so fast, nagpapayat ka ng sobrang bilis. From 80 kilos, bigla naging 50. Wow, di ba? Pero, iniinilan doon kasi nga, kaya siya dapat dahan-dahan kasi baka dahil nga too much cholesterol is in your blood. Ang tanging way para malabas siya via the biliary tract. So, mas naiipon siya sa ating gallbladder if mabilis ka ng papayat. So, you have a high risk for having gallstone. So, kapag tinanggal lang yung gallbladder because of gallstone disease and complications, problematic yan kapag kumain ka ng samgyup. I have a batchmate in residency. Hindi na kumakain ng samgyup kasi wala na siyang gallbladder. So, kapag kumain siya ng samgyup, ang nangyari sa kanya, magkakaroon siya ng steatorrhea afterwards. So, ingat po sa ating pagpapapayat and magpapasexy. Fatty acids, guys. Okay, ito, na-mention ko na kanina yan, guys. But take note of these properties. Bakit siya mahalaga? Long chain is mainly transported in their chylomicrons. The chylomicrons travel in your lymphatic system, okay, via the lacteals of the GI tract. And they form a confluence in the abdomen known as your hysterna-chyli. It is the inferior, baba, the termination ng ating thoracic duct. The thoracic duct will now go upwards from the abdomen to the thorax, ending in the left side of the neck, entering the circulation. Okay, check, mastered. Your MCFA and short-chain fatty acids, they are relatively on the side of hydrophilic, meaning they can interact with water. They relatively do not need a protein para ma-transport sila in the blood, or in the body, rather. So they can be directly absorbed in the bloodstream via the hepatic portal vein. Since it is the major vein supplying nutrients to your liver. Bakit siya mahalaga? Okay? Now, in patients in the hospital na naka-NPO na matagal, hindi makakain. Diba? Usually start your what you call TPN, a total parenteral nutrition. Okay, when that happens, sinasaksakan natin ng lipid formulation yung ating pasyente. That formulation contains actually medium chain fatty acids and short chain fatty acids kasi they can be absorbed by the blood. They don't give long chain fatty acids in that formulation. So with that said, kahit hindi ka kumakain yung ating pasyente, meron pa rin siyang means para magkaroon ng fat nutrients. So that is actually good. Thank God, may ganung kind of concept. Now, what if a patient naman na, NPO na matagal, di ba? Na mayat, di ba? Kapag ang GI tract mo ay hindi gumagana masyado at naka-NPO ka, and then ay nag-atrophy ang ating intestines. Okay, doon nabasa ko ang ating SCFA kasi they're actually the food for your colonocytes, or ito Schwartz. Sabi ni Schwartz, you need your acetic acid, butyric acid, and propionic acid. These are short-chain fatty acids to be the energy of your colonocytes. So kapag ang pasyente, binabalik mo na siya to feeding stage kapag naka-recover na siya from his or her disease, habang hindi pa siya nakakain, you can give SCFA containing nutrients para hindi siya super mag-atrophize. Hindi super mag-atrophy rather yung ating intestinal cells. Mainly your large intestine. Okay? Guys, paulit ito parate. Essential linoleic and alpha-linolenic acid. But remember, linolenic acid is not the parent compound of your arachidonic acid. Okay guys, cholesterol dito. Take note of the derivatives and take note guys that okay, malito. Ay, tama pala, sorry. Na-stress agad ako. Anyway, ito guys, ang point lang dito. I want to highlight this kasi nga, baka nagkakos ng confusion. The 7-dihydrocholesterol in the skin, when exposed to UVB light, is converted into vitamin D3. Okay, so no enzymes involved here. Okay? Bile acids and 7-alpha hydroxylase. So take note of these rate-limiting steps. Usually in the exam, you don't have to memorize very, very low metabolism. Isa lang ang pati na minemorize ko, but that's me, glycolysis. Okay. The rest, di ko na minemorize. Only focus on important enzymes involved in diseases, those of the rate-limiting step, those that are branching to other metabolic pathways. That's how to memorize them or study them. And you have to know the function of your metabolic pathways and their different compartments in the cell. Okay, more on that later. Nucleotides naman tayo. Okay guys, konting review lang. Nucleotides contains your base, sugar, and the phosphate. Pag may phosphate ka, that is a nucleotide. Pag base and sugar ka lang, that's your nucleoside. Sugar side. Okay? Now, the base is connected to your sugar, the pentose sugar, via the N-glycosidic bond. The pentose to the first phosphate via an ester bond, and a phosphate to the another phosphate via anhydride bonds, which contains lots of energy. So, if you convert ATP, a form of nucleotide, to ADP, dahil mataas ang stored energy sa ating anhydride bonds, nagkakaroon ka ng very efficient mechanism for releasing energy from ATP. When ATP becomes ADP, napakaganda ng energy na lumalabas. Kaya guys, pumapansin mo, bakit wala kang using of ADP para maging AMP siya? Kasi konti lang yung energy na makukuha mo doon. So might as well replenish your ATP kasi large amounts of energy are stored in the bonding of anhydride bonds. Guys, how to read properly? Lumalabas to from the 5N to the 3N. That's how you read your nucleic acids. And the bond is between nucleotides to form a nucleic acid is your 3,5 phosphodiester bond. Guys, I think all students having difficulty here. Okay, guys, the monomers are your amino acids, monosaccharides, and nucleotides. These are the building blocks of your different macromolecules. Okay, para magdikit ng isang monomer to the other, you have the following. For the proteins, the peptide bonds. For the carbs, the glycosidic bonds. For the nucleic acids, we have your 3,5 phosphodiester bond, forming these polymers: protein, polysaccharide, and nucleic acid. Okay? Think of the schema parate. Don't be confused on different terms. Now, lipids are not true polymers kasi they do not need to bind with each other. Okay? Hindi sila tropa-tropa, but they only share one common physical property. They all hate water. So para yung tropa ng mga mga group of friends na hate ng isang someone, okay? No, parang ganun sila. They hate water in this case. But don't do that, okay? We're adults already. Okay. DNA and RNA, most common form, guys, the bDNA. The one found in the end of chromosomes are your zDNA. Z is found at the end of the list of the alphabet. A is for low humidity and low salt yan dapat, and high humidity. Sorry for that. The only protein coding RNA, the one that is most heterogeneous, is your mRNA. Makes sense. Kasi nga, siya yung gumagawa ng template para sa ating amino acid sequence. The most abundant is your ribosomal RNA. The one containing unique bases is your transfer RNA. Nutrition. Guys, ito, okay, I'll go into at least discusses ng konti. There's your EAR and the RDA. Those two parameters, they have a formula in your handout. Okay, at least familiarize with them sa inyong handout. But you don't need to know how to compute them. Now, ang ating adequate intake, ginagamit yan kapag ang isang molecule ay, or isang nutrient ay, hindi makomputan ng EAR sa RDA. So it can be a value na based on studies, based on epidemiologic data para ma-determine siya. Ang ating upper limit naman, in this case naman, the upper limit Depende kasi yan kung ano yung reference value and kung kailan siya magkakaroon ng effect. It's the upper limit. Kasi hindi naman lahat ng ating mga nutrients ay magkakaroon ng effect sa katawan mo. So the upper limit is basically derived from not a formula but from studies across populations. Now, ano ang kailangan nyo malaman dyan? Kailangan mo magkaroon ng adequate nutrition sa isang tao. So kailangan at least above ka ng RDA kapag known ang kanyang RDA sa EAR para masabi mo na adequate ang kanyang nutrition. Kapag ang nutrient ay walang RDA, you need to use your AI kasi this is one derived from studies. So any value above the AI or adequate intake means that you have an adequate amount of nutrient for that day. Now, the upper limit is the upper limit. It's the upper limit of normal. Pag lumampas ka dyan, you can have risk for adverse effects. Okay, so kailangan hindi ka lalampas ng upper limit para hindi ka magkaroon ng toxic problems. Okay? Guys, matanong to pa natin. Pero baka masimple yung tanong sa inyo dyan. Okay, not so toxic. Hindi ko ipapakampitin ng maraming mahabang like yung ginawa ko sa exam ko before. Basta no, dapat ang ating carbs, proteins ay always 4 kilocalories per gram. Fat is 9 and alcohol as 7 kilocalories per gram. Always take note of these values. But ito guys, you have to memorize this. Medyo testable to eh. So you have to know that 1 kilocalorie is equal to 4.2 kilojoules. Please take note of this conversion unit. It is a testable concept. Okay guys, the AMDRs. This can be testable. Okay? I think this was asked during my time. And di ko siya masagutan. But in memorizing stuff like this, guys, you don't have to memorize them right now. Kasi kahit ako tanungin mo, 2 months after, bago mag-exam, makakalimutan ko yan. So these values, try to at least pasadahan sa mata bago mag-exam. Para lang may konting confidence na pag lumabas sila, you have familiarity. Okay? But what I would like you to know here is this concept, the total energy expenditure. Take note that majority comes from the resting metabolic rate or the BMR, depending on how you take the BMR or RMR value, as explained in the lecture. Yan ang majority parati in a 24-hour period. But the most variable is physical activity. It makes sense because some patients are sedentary. Like tayo right now, nag-aaral tayo, busy tayo, di ba? We are having a sedentary lifestyle. Ako, hindi ako mapag-bike right now. So, sedentary ako. Para palaging active ako, ulit, tataas yung aking percentage ng ating expenditure for your total energy expenditure. Kasi nga, it's very variable depending on your lifestyle. Okay, guys? This was asked during my time, and yes, it can be asked. But take note of the formulas here. Ang pinaka nagkakamali dyan yung mga tao ay BV and NPU. Okay, medyo memorize to guys. Don't have to compute them in the exam, just have to know the formula because that is the concept involved here. Ang point lang niya, pareho ang yung numerator. Both are nitrogen used in tissue formation. Pero sa BV, it's the absorbed from food. Yung inabsorb ng ating intestine. Sa NPU, yun yung ating nitrogen na sinubo mo sa iyong bibig. So of course, magkakabago yan. Kasi of course, yung sinubo mo sa bibig, marami pa yung pagdadaanan sa katawan mo. Right? So that's the difference between BV and NPU. But along with your PDCAAS, all of them have a value of 0 to 1. Okay? 0 having the lowest value, 1 having the highest value. Doc, paano pa lumabas sa exam? What is the perfect 1 daw? Always think of eggs. Okay, eggs, mga nuts. Yan. Yung mga may highest biological value. Okay, so yung ating iba, medyo less lang yun. Okay, basta pag-uusapan ay highest biological value, always think of eggs. What yung kanilang value. Iba sa ating PER or protein efficiency ratio. In this case, we're discussing here yung efficiency ng growth ng ating mga lab animals. Just your rats, for example. Pag at least 2.7 ka, you have an excellent protein source. Some values to memorize, this magdaanan bago mag-exam. The adequate intake level of your fibers, glycemic index levels, Guys, this one, very testable to. Production of colostrum, 12 to 6 week of pregnancy. Okay, and remember guys, vitamin D is K is virtually absent in breast milk. Kaya high risk ang mga neonates sa ating bleeding disorders because of the water. Di ba, fat soluble lang ang kanilang katawan. Moreover, as discussed before, vitamin K is mostly produced by your intestinal microbiota. Yung mga organisms sa iyong tiyan. Di ba, baby pa lang yun eh. Habang di ba nakakain yan, hindi pa na-introduce ang ating microbes. Sterile pa yan. Wala pa yung microbes. So, walang gagawa. And of course, pangatlo, ay virtually absent ang ating vitamin K sa breast milk. So, upon pregnancy, you give vitamin K administration para to lower the risk of having bleeding disorders. Okay, guys, let's focus on vitamins. Okay, vitamins D, K, biotin, pantothenic, niacin, they can be synthesized by the body. Ang D, galing sa sunlight. Okay? Kapag tinamaan ng ating skin to convert your 7-dehydrocholesterol into vitamin D3. Vitamin K, biotin, tsaka pantothenic or produced by the intestinal microflora. Niacin, kapag naubos na siya, can be derived from tryptophan. Pero it's a very poor process kasi you need to use B6 and B2. And pangit yung kanyang ratio dito, parang 60:1 siya. Okay? Pero in this method, mas ginagamit ang B6 para gumawa ng niacin from tryptophan than B2. So if you have B6 deficiency, you can have more prominent pellagra-like syndrome. And strangely, guys, being in B12, along with fat, vitamins are stored in liver. For the specific, guys, vitamin A, your ito cells or stellate cells of ito. Hey guys, in general to, in general, by biochemistry, fat soluble ay mas na-store sa ating liver and the adipose tissue. They're addict. So if they tend to accumulate in the body, they can lead to toxicity. While water soluble, nasa tubig lang ng katawan mo. So basically, iniihi mo siya everyday. Kaya actually hindi ako fan mabigay ng vitamin supplements na BNC lang. Kasi itake ko yan, iihi ko rin yan bukas or mamaya. So rather, suggest your patient na lang na kumain ng nutritious food, right? Mas maganda yun kasi nga, hindi mo kailangang gumastos ng extra. So dahil araw-araw mo sila iniihi, you have a high risk for deficiencies. Pero Doc, bakit ganito? Bakit ang daming prominent na vitamin deficiencies sa ating fat soluble? Kasi one, very common sila kasi we're in a developing country. So high risk tayo for having food security problems. Basically, mas malnourished ang mga Pilipino. So these are very prominent in our country. Instead of ophthalmia, it's the ocular problems in vitamin A deficiency. Always remember, guys, vitamin A deficiency, high risk for what virus? Measles infection. You also have a phenoderma. Vitamin D deficiency, rickets, children, kapag hindi pa nagsasarado ang ating epiphyseal plates. Osteomalacia, adults naman. Vitamin E, hemolytic anemia. Kasi, di ba, ang vitamin E is a powerful na antioxidant. If wala siya, madaling masira ang ating cellular membrane via lipid peroxidation. Because of that, kapag dumaan ang RBC cell wall sa isang maliit na blood vessel, madali silang mag-hemolyze, causing anemia in the process. And they can also lead to demyelination. Guys, take note ano yung vitamin na may parehong demyelination of the posterior columns? Your vitamin E and vitamin B12. Pero iba ang mechanism ng kanilang anemia. Si macrocytic anemia ay B12. Si vitamin E ay hemolytic anemia. Vitamin K can lead the first to bleeding disorders. But take note guys, yung ating cute na polar bear here, ito, you can have vitamin A toxicity, sinabi ni Robbins yan, so baka matanong sa pato, if you consume a liver of a polar bear. Usually nakikita sa mga Arctic explorers na gutom na sa kanilang biyahe. So because of that, you can have your pseudotumor cerebri. Okay, most potent naturally occurring antioxidants are vitamin E, mainly your alpha tocopherol. Ano ba yung mga involved sa vitamin K? Ako guys, dito I'm trying to stay away from 1972 kasi nga yung ibang students, nalilito sila. Tingin nila yung 1 sa 1972 ay factor 1. It's 10, di ba? So ako, personal preference ko lang to ha. 2 plus 9 is equals to 9. Then 9 is followed by 10. Okay, para medyo safe ng konti. And take note guys, this as a testable concept. The prominent side effect of vitamin C mega dosage is diarrhea. Why is there such thing? Kasi nangyari guys, there's a concept of vitamin C mega overdosage. Di ba nga ang sabi ko sa inyo, we lack the enzyme, gulong produce our own vitamin C. Therefore, it becomes an essential vitamin in our diet. In contrast, lower mammals, they have that enzyme. So they can make their own vitamin C. So because of that, ang nangyayari, kung sabi ng mga ibang scientists and mga tao, yung mga ibang animals, wala namang maraming sakit. Bakit ang tao, ang dami-dami nating sakit? So baka daw, it's because of the lack of that enzyme. So you must take large amounts of vitamin C. This is not proven. There's no benefit in that. Pero in patients taking that, they have large amounts of diarrhea. So diarrhea is the answer sheet, not constipation. Okay, it's a testable concept. Think of that. It can be asked in IM. Okay guys, ACE, zinc, selenium. Those having antioxidant effects. Vitamin B complex features. Okay guys, isa-isahin yan. Okay, medyo marami sila. But of course, this table will be very useful for your review. Okay, basta take note guys, redox reactions, B2 and B3. B2 ang source ng ating FAD, FMN, B3 for NAD, NADPH. Tapos, if you have increase in carbohydrate intake, you must also increase your thiamine intake and protein intake, vitamin B6. Guys, alam niyo ba? In patients having your Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome, chronic alcoholic, kung nasa ER, ayan, meron siya confabulation, meron siya ophthalmoplegia. Ang treatment ay thiamine. Okay, to reverse that. But hindi siya enough ang thiamine. You must add a D5 solution, D50 para gumana siya. So, kailangan kasi nag-interplay yung B1 saka carbohydrate intake. Okay, para sila ay gumana sa iyong katawan. They have an interplaying mechanism here. Okay? Dok, bakit kailangan mo ng B6 in protein intake? Para gumana rin siya. Kasi most enzymes in the most pathways in the protein metabolism requires vitamin B6. Okay, B deficiencies guys, thiamine B1, beriberi, you have two types. Wernicke, wet beriberi is your high output heart failure. Kasi you have a decrease in SVR causing high cardiac output. Okay, ang yung dry beriberi is your Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome. B2, 2Cs, B3, 3Ds. Okay? Dati, 4Ds yan, may death. Pero syempre, ayaw mo namang magkaroon ng 4D memorize eh. 3Ds yan kasi, B3, di ba? Mas madali. Energopalance, burning feet syndrome, your paan-totenic syndrome, obviously. Okay. B6 involved in multiple manifestations involved in amino acid metabolism. Biosine, egg whites, avidin. Guys, pellagra-like syndrome, B6 ang mas nagkukos niyan than B2. But both can have that. Doc, what if in the exam, may pellagra yung pasyente pero pero may B3. Then B3 ang sagot doon, niacin. Doc, wala po si B3, pero may B6 saka B2. Mas piliin mo si B6 kasi it's the one that causes a high chance for pellagra-like syndrome. Kasi it's more important in the mechanism of transforming tryptophan to niacin. Yan. Toxicities naman tayo. Konti lang yan, guys. B3, hepatotoxicity and your podagra. Facial flushing. While B6 is a sensory neuropathy. Kaya, ang mga taong nag-take, for example, isoniazid, TB patients, di ba? Kailangan ng isoniazid. And one of the adverse effects of that drug is that you can have peripheral neuropathies. Okay? Kasi it interferes with B6 metabolism, leading to B6 deficiency. Kaya usually, you give low dose levels of vitamin B6, ideally to those patients, para magkaroon ka ng preventive measure. Pero kapag ang nangyari ay, nagkaroon ka ng sintomas na, don't worry, just increase the dose of your vitamin B6, usually to around 50 to 100 milligrams per day. Behind B12, guys, I've discussed this already. Basta you have to know here the differences. Both of them have reversible anemia. Pero si B12 ang mayroong irreversible na neurological problem. Both of them has increased homocysteine, as discussed earlier. Both of them has low folic acid kasi nga B12 deficiency can lead to B9 deficiency. Pero si B12 ay mayroong methyl malonic acid increase. Kasi as mentioned in the previous slide, kailangan siya para ma-convert si methyl malonyl to succinyl-CoA. So if absent siya, magkakaroon ka ng retention and accumulation of your methyl malonyl coenzyme A. Okay? Minerals. Iron metabolism, guys, ferritin is the storage form. Okay, pero ano ba yung protein na nag-store sa kanya? It's your apoferritin. Transferrin, transportation. Hepcidin is the one that controls iron metabolism. In inflammation, di ba, as mentioned, pag meron kang inflammation, may it be infection talaga, autoimmunity, after trauma, after surgery. Pag parang nagkaka-fever ka na, isipin ng katawan mo, oh my God, baka meron siyang infection. As mentioned, di ba, iron increase in the body, favorite ng mga bacteria. Kasi you can have a bacterial overgrowth if you have high amounts of iron in the body. So ang goal mo ay kontrolin yung dami ng bacteria mo. So with that, kailangan mong kontrolin ang dami ng iron in your blood. So tinatago mo siya sa iyong intestinal epithelial cells, saka sa iyong mga liver structures, saka spleen, kasi andun yung mga macrophages natin. So, ano nagtatago dyan? Ang ating hepcidin. So, increase in hepcidin leads to decreased serum iron. So, clinically, guys, you don't give iron. For example, yung pasyente naka-iron siya, meron siyang infection, hold mo muna. So, sa chart, hold iron for now, okay, until mag-resolve ang yung infection. Now, kapag low ang iyong iron in the body, okay, nagkakaroon siya ng negative feedback. Because of that, kailangan mo ng decreased hepcidin para ma-release ang ating iron into the blood. And take note, guys, these functions of iron, depending on the form. Ferrous, Fe2+, okay? Siya yung for oxygen binding, absorption via your enterocytes. Guys, ang part ng iyong intestine siya ina-absorb ang ating iron. Tama ka, sa duodenum siya ina-absorb, okay? Ferric iron naman is for transport and for storage. Copper, ang kailangan niyan, hepcidin, okay, also needed in iron metabolism. Okay, lysyl oxidase, cytoplasmic SOD, the one find cytoplasm. This enzyme requires copper and zinc in the process. Okay, it's a non-mitochondrial. Zinc stabilizes the insulin structure, spermatogenesis, and important in normal fetal growth and development. Pero ang fuel ng sperm cell flows. Okay, tandaan niyo yan, not apodermatitis enteropathica. There's a wrong concept here. Akala ng mga tao, if you have zinc deficiency, nagkakaroon ka ng apodermatitis enteropathica. Hindi po ganyan yan. Ang zinc deficiency leading to caused by poor absorption of zinc into the body. Ang tawag sa sakit na yun ay acrodermatitis enteropathica. That is the syndrome. It's an autosomal recessive na sakit. If you have that, ang mangyayari, you will have poor zinc in the body. Because of that, magkakaroon ka ng mga rashes in the extremities, check, dermatitis. Magkakaroon ka ng diarrhea, check, enteropathica. So yung sakit na yan, yung name ng sakit na yan, yan yung cause ng iyong zinc deficiency. Not zinc deficiency causing apodermatitis from now on. Okay? Other minerals, guys, manganese, the cofactor siya for what? mitochondrial SOD. Guys, as before, molybdenum. Lahat ng may oxidase. Okay? Yun ang kanyang mismo na mineral involved. Cobalt, obviously, cobalamin. Cobalamin siya. If you have cobalt deficiency, pwede ka rin magkaroon ng macrocytic anemia. Chroma, in contrast to zinc, ang mo stabilize the insulin structure. But the negotiates the action of insulin. Fluid, kapag deficient, carries. Pero pag sobrang dami, problemado rin yan. You can have fluorosis. Selenium is an antioxidant. As mentioned, part of the ACE selenium. Deficiency, Tishan cardiomyopathy. Toxicity, Cashin-Beck. Sabi ang chronic breath and next molecule tayo. GAGs, okay, yan yung mga yun, di ba? Glyaminox, normally, there is yan yun. So, ang para siyang ano, test rush, di ba? Yung gitna mo, that is the protein core. Yung mga parang 5 protein core plus GAG, ang tawag sa kanila ay proteoglycan. Okay? So GAGs and proteoglycans are not synonymous. Now, look at the image here, guys, from Withers. Okay, one of my favorite history books. Tignan mo, guys, the hyaluronic acid is dependent lang dyan yung independence dito. Okay? Most about that GAG, not hyaluron. Reservoir of arachidonic acid is your inositol. And the marker of apoptosis is kapag the reflect. Okay? Myelin sheath, sphingomyelin. Guys, I'm showing this table for you not to memorize right now. Guys, don't be scared, pero pwede siya matanong kasi in exam. So at least daanan mo tong table na to before you take the exam. Look, should I memorize it right now? Wag. Guys, kahit i-memorize ko siya right now, makakalimutan ko yan baka next day. So at least memorize them the day before siguro. At daanan lang sa mata. Oo. Guys, slow yan, tumatagas ang information. Kahit anong basa ko ng Harrison sa isang topic, after 1 month, makakalimutan ko rin sila. So we're all humans, we're prone to memory loss. Okay? Okay, eicosanoids, these are the derivatives. Okay, let's have a brief recap lang. Lipoxins, okay, all of them, derivatives are inflammatory in nature, except for lipoxin. The natural vasoconstrictor and platelet aggregator is your thromboxane A2. Prostacyclin is the natural antagonist of your thromboxane A2. Therefore, it's a natural vasodilator and an inhibitor of platelet aggregation. Okay, leukotrienes, guys, C4, D4, E4, all of them are involved in asthma. Hence, you have your Montelukast. Di ba? Montelukast is a leukotriene receptor antagonist na binibigay mo to supplement asthma and even allergies. Pag chemotaxis is your B4 and of course your prostaglandin D2. And guys, chemotaxis, tinatawag mo yung mga immune cells going to the site of inflammation. So pare, tara, D2. So hindi lang po siya ang D2 ha. Hindi na siya ang chemotaxis rather. You also have your B4. Okay, enzymology. Daanan na ng konti yung mga notable concepts, okay? Okay, bago tayo matapos guys, we have last 20 slides. Phosphatases, remove. Phosphorylases and kinases, add phosphates. The more important model here is your induced fit model. Okay, this guys, madaanan mo to kung nung kalimutan niya kasi you need to know that when working about the exam. Okay? ENSS. Okay, this was asked not during my time, but usually parang a batch after me. So guys, kaya ito may tanong sa inyong exam before na what is a typical Filipino diet? Okay? Sabi ata ng iba, rice, vegetable, chicken. Uy, Mediterranean diet ata yan. Okay? It's actually rice, vegetable, and fish. Okay? That's your combination here. Ang mga Pinoy mahilig sa merienda. Think of that. Ang preferred na fuel for cooking ay LPG. Ang gustong source ay ng tubig ay mineral water. Although ako, Coke Zero ako, unfortunately. Okay, don't kung yung sundan guys, magkakaroon kayo ng hyperuricemia. Magagawat na ako. Most vulnerable group of population for malnutrition, yung mga taong under 5 years of age. Dok, bakit? You have lots of parameters concerning your infants. Pero ang 5 years of age below, medyo konti pa lang. Actually, isa nga lang Sir Oplan Timbang. More on that on Prevment. So, target group yan na hindi nabibigyan ng atensyon masyado. Okay, the preschool age children. Most prevalent micronutrient deficiency is iron always, and the most common cause of anemia worldwide and in the Philippines. The major cause of preventable mental retardation worldwide is iodine deficiency. Leading cause of preventable blindness in children is vitamin A, according to the expanded National Nutrition Survey. Guys, metabolism. So, I did not lecture this, but I would like to highlight some important points for consideration. Okay, kailangan nyo siyang malaman please before you head to the exam. That's the point of the summary lecture naman. Okay, guys, be familiar rather with your common names, the eponyms of these cycles. Baka kasi in the exam, lumabas, what is the rate limiting step for Krebs Henselate cycle? Diba? O diba? Naku. So, please use this slide for your reference. Okay? Daanan siya bago mag-exam. Take note, guys, always of catabolism and anabolism. Favorite ko yan gawin parati in metabolism. You have to know if the pathway is a catabolytic process or an anabolic process. Catabolism, katay. Kinakatay mo yung isang malaking structure into smaller pieces. Anabolism, synthesis. Pag isang metabolism, guys, nakita mo meron siyang NADPH. More likely, generally, it's a synthetic process. If meron kang NAD+, mukhang meron kang catabolic process there. Moreover, you must also know the sites of metabolism. Dok, bakit ka meron compartmentation? For example, the whole cell. If wala kang mga compartments dyan, wala kang organelle. So basically, isa ka lang malaking lalagyanan of different enzymes. If gano'n ang ating cell, naku po, wala mangyari dyan, magkakagulo. For example, think of a swimming resort, for example. Lahat ng tao, from children to adult to elderly, lahat sila nasa isang big swimming pool. Napakagulo, di ba? So you must have compartmentalization. May iba for adults, may mga active dyan na mga tao. Children, sa mga babies, parang sobrang malalim. Mayroong elderly, para sa mga chill-chill lang, yung mga nakasona, for example, di ba? So that parang ganoon din yung ating cell. Kailangan naka-compartmentalize siya para hindi magkagulo yung ating mga metabolic pathways. You must at least take note kung saan sila nangyayari inside the cell. Mitochondria, beta oxidation, dyan nangyayari yan. But please take note first that the first step bago ka mag-beta oxidation, kailangan mo muna magkaroon ng fatty acid activation happening in the cytoplasm. Bago pupunta yung ating activated na fatty acid into the beta oxidation inside your mitochondria. Yun yung mga fatty acyl-CoA. That is the activated form for fatty acid. Okay? So at least know this concept. Okay? But take note that at least 3 of them, okay, can occur in either mitochondria and cytoplasm. The major ones, marami pa yan, pero these are the major ones. Heme synthesis, urea cycle, and gluconeogenesis. Again, these are the general compartmentalization of different pathways. And of course, the enzymes. The rate-limiting enzymes, okay? Give it take 2 to 3 items, baka 1 to 2 items, who knows, diba? But you have to know the differentiation, okay? And of course, a very important concept na maraming nalilito na tao, the fate of pyruvate. Actually, kung papansin mo guys, the pyruvate molecule, it's the center of at least 5 pathways. Glycolysis, the alanine Cahill cycle, okay, in beta oxidation, in the TCA cycle, even in lactic acid dehydrogenase pathway for anaerobic glycolysis. So, kailangan mo malaman yung fate niya, kaya siya napaka-important na molecule. You have to know the fate. Okay? And need to know also the cofactors involved. Dito mas specific na siya. Pag ALT, di ba, ang sabi ko, pag involved lagi ang ating amino acids, okay, usually, yung mga alanine, for example, para sa iyong alanine chiral cycle, B6 ang ating cofactor dyan. Okay, pag wala ka nang maisip na sagot, pag involved amino acid, baka B6 ang sagot. Okay, that's a testmanship concept. Carboxylase, guys, biotin. Pyruvate dehydrogenase, the mediating step between glycolysis and TCA cycle. Napaka-important ng enzyme na yan. Siya yung checkpoint bago makapasok ang pyruvate into your TCA cycle, your citric acid cycle. Cofactors, 5 yan ha. B1, B2, B3, B5, and your lipoic acid. Okay, parang lipoic acid is actually hindi pa siya vitamin, okay, pero parang ina-up siya as a possible vitamin in the body because of its cofactor effect for your pyruvate dehydrogenase. Okay? The other one naman is your fourth pathway, the lactic acid cycle, the Cori cycle. Okay? So, kailangan siya para ma-replenish mo yung iyong lactic acid, making it glucose again. Okay? Take note, guys, anaerobic glycolysis is a major pathway in RBCs, WBCs, kidney medulla, lens, testes, and your cornea. Okay, guys, I've asked this before in your discussion before sa inyong diagnostic exam. Take note the inhibitors involved. Okay? The inhibitors, rotenone, complex 1, antrimycin, the IDEs, okay? Complex 4 siya, cyanide, carbon monoxide, azide. Oligomycin, complex 5, same lang po yan sa ating ATP synthase. Oligomycin inhibits your ATP synthase and complex 5 in the electric transport chain. Okay? Guys, remember a while ago your brown fatty acids? Thermogenin is the one that induces your brown fat lipolysis, causing your non-shivering thermogenesis in your lower mammals. The Hill cycle and Cori cycle. Okay? Kasi may mga tao nalilito dyan. So let's differentiate them. Both of them involve liver and muscle organs. Okay? Hill cycle involves glucose and alanine. Kailangan kasi ito para matanggal ang excess nitrogen kapag ikaw ay nagkakaroon ng breakdown of amino acids. Cori cycle. Kailangan siya para ma-replenish mo ang iyong lactic acid that is building up in anaerobic processes para magkaroon ka ng extra source of glucose for your muscle. So ginagawa niya, lactic acid from the muscle, pinapadala niya sa ating liver para maging siyang glucose ulit. Tapos si liver, pinapadala si glucose to your muscle para magamit siya ulit. So it's being used to extend your use for anaerobic exercises. Okay? An overview of your metabolic pathways. Okay? So at least matake note yung mga key concepts na baka magkamali along the way. It's very important. Now, some dash of immunity, guys. Okay, this is mostly as discussed in patho. But again, this is medical biology, biochemistry. May mga tumatagas ko din na topics into our subject, into our own realm, di ba? So, let's have a konting discussion about them. Neutrophils, guys, the most predominant cell in the peripheral blood, followed by your lymphocytes. Guys, ang unang nag-respond parate in an inflammation are the neutrophils in the first 6 to 24 hours, according to Robbins, followed by your monocytes. The monocytes are transformed macrophages. These are macrophages. Sorry. Monocytes, these are blood cells. Now, in response to inflammation, they become macrophages after. Okay? They occur in inflammation after the 6 to 24-hour period. Ang iyong eosinophils, guys, they are increased in helminthic infections. Now, bakit minsan toxic ang iyong eosinophilia? Eosinophils kasi, meron siyang tinatawag ng major basic protein. This is a very strong enzyme na effective against your helminth infections. Pero ito, sabi mo kanina, toxic siya sa katawan. Bakit? What is the type of cell meron ng ating mga helminths? They are eukaryotes. They're found in domain eukarya. Okay, same as us, humans. We're also eukaryotes. So because of that, if ang MVP ay nakaka-damage sa mga eukaryotes, kaya niya rin ma-damage ang ating human cells. Okay? Moreover, there's a specific function of eosinophils. They clear immune complexes in the periphery, in the peripheral blood. Why is this important? Kasi kapag ang mga immune complexes ay nag-deposit, for example, sa mga basement membrane ng ating kidneys, ng ating lungs, baka magkaroon ka ng tinatawag na hypersensitivity reaction. What type? Ano sabi ni Doc Ilomina? It's type 3, the immune complex mediated hypersensitivity reaction. So they should be cleared by your eosinophils. While basophils naman, they have your histamine and heparin. They are the ones that mediate your systemic allergic reactions. Lymphocytes, ang pinaka-bida dyan ay T cells and B cells. Most lymphocytes are T cells. Okay? T cells, they are mostly for the cellular arm of immunity. They have cytotoxic T cells, helper T cells, and regulatory T cells. B cells naman, they are for the humoral response. When you say humoral, hindi sila nakakatawa. Okay? Ang point yan is they secrete humors. Humors are dissolved substances. And one of them are your antibodies. Kaya siya humoral immune response. Now, NK cells, these are lymphocytes, but they are not part of the adaptive immunity. Kasi they are part of the innate immunity. Ang pinaka-trabaho niya is to destroy virally infected cells and tumoral cells in the body. That's the main role of your NK cells or natural killer cells. Okay, and they do it via two mechanisms. One, your perforin granzyme enzyme system. Perforin, ang ginagawa niya, you have a cell, perforin perforates the cell na kalaban. Okay, tapos si NK cells will plant a bomb inside. The bomb are your granzymes. ADCC naman, ang point niyan ay antibody-dependent cell-mediated cytotoxicity. Ang point niyan is mas gumagana si NK cells kapag meron siyang kasama na antibodies, such as IgG. Okay? So T cells, diba sabi ko kanina, have 3 types. Cytotoxic, okay, they are the ones killing your endogenous antigens. Okay, mga viral, solid proteins, ganun. Helper T cells naman mga exogenous na antigens usually, mga bacterial proteins yan. Treg cells naman, they are for regulation. They terminate the inflammation of the body. While plasma cells, yan ang derivative ng ating B cells. B cells become plasma cells, they produce antibodies and immunoglobulins. Wala siya sa slide ko, but what cell serves as the link between innate immunity and adaptive immunity? That is your dendritic cell. It was a testable question. Dendritic cell is the major antigen presenting cell of the body. Ano yun, Dok? Ang ginagawa niya, kapag sinira ng isang granulocyte ang isang infected the cell or a bacteria, for example, magkakaroon niya ng para mga fragments. Those fragments contains antigen. Now, para matandaan ng katawan mo yung kalaban na yun, kukunin mo yung fragment na yan, pupunta ka kay T lymphocyte, kay helper T cell. Helper T cell, ganyan. Ito yung ating antigen. Para makala mo siya next time, boss. So, siya yung link between the innate immunity involving your macrophages, neutrophils, linking your innate immunity to your adaptive immunity. Kasi involved na dyan ang ating mga lymphocytes. That is how your immunity works. Okay? Now, complement system, guys. Doc, ba't wala sa anot mo yan? Kasi it's not that important na memorize mo siya. You only have to know the important stuff here. That the complement system, kaya siya complement kasi it is a set of proteins that complements the innate immune system. It's a complementary function of the immune system. There are 3 ways para ma-trigger siya. First one, we have your classic pathway, kung saan involved dyan ang ating antibodies, namely IgG and IgM. Kaya sila strong complement activators. Lectin naman, kailangan meron kang mannose, usually found in the surface of your microbes. While alternative naman, they are triggered kapag meron kang mga microbial surfaces. So basically, ang point niyan ay gagawa ka ng isang tinatawag na set of convertases along the way. What you have to know here, guys, are the products of this pathway. Kasi it represents the three functions of the complement system: cell lysis, opsonization, and chemotaxis. Now, ang product ng ating complement system, you have your one, it can form the membrane attack protein. Basically, binubutas yung ating cell para siya ay mag-lyse, yung mga bacterial cells. So, kailangan mo ng C5b to C6 to C7 to C8 to C9. Okay? Board relevant question. What bacteria, the risk of this bacteria is increased if you have ang term late complement deficiency. Late complement deficiency refers to the last numbered complement proteins, or C5b to C9. So if you have deficiency in this kind of enzymes, you have a higher risk for what organism? Higher risk for having Neisseria organisms. Neisseria. Okay, next. Opsonization. Ang opsonization na ginagawa niya ay pinapayami niya ang mga bacterial pathogens para mas madali siyang kainin ng ating mga different phagocytes in the bloodstream. Okay, yummy, C3p. Okay? While chemotaxis is your C5a. Okay? Pero hindi lang siya ang chemotaxis, ha. As mentioned, marami tayong binanggit na so far. Ano ba mga chemotactic na substances so far sa mga nabanggit ko? C5a, leukotriene B4, ano pa? Prostaglandin B2, and of course, your microbial proteins. They are very, very strong chemotactic agents. Okay? Para ma-remember yan, Doc, think of a taxi going along the C5 extension. And that's all for my summary lecture for biochemistry. Okay? Remember, guys, fire is a test of gold, adversity of strong men. Guys, huwag kayo matakot dyan. We're always under stress right now. Daming emotions, daming feelings, konting may mangyari, kakabahan kayo. It's fine. It's fine. We're normal human beings. You'll grow from that experience to be better doctors along the way. So stick to the fight. Your hardest hit. Okay? Kaya-kaya niyan, guys. Rest if you must, but don't you quit. That's all for tonight.
Thank you so much, Prince. Maraming salamat. A virtual clap for you and for Ronnie Bats. So si Prince ang nagbigay ng summary lecture. You're going to see them again. Si Prince and si Ronnie Bats, combination sila pagdating sa pearls ninyo. Okay? And then the day before your board exams, immediately before, okay, there will be a 4-hour bonus lecture care of kay Ronnie Bats naman. So we've been doing that for the past year na. Okay? So walang handout yon, talagang basically dahil first subject ang Biochem sub and boards, pampagana one day before. So it's a bonus lecture. 1 day before, 4 hours. So thank you so much, Prince. Go back to your MG. Okay, Doc Mitch, Chikay.
Bye, guys. Good luck. Okay, see you around, guys.
Thank you, Doc Friends.
Thank you, Doc. Bye-bye.
Ayan, so guys, let's proceed sa ating QM na. So yung ating Quizmaster for tonight will be Dr. Jumela Mica Bautista. She is the top 8 ng March 2023 PLE from UP College of Medicine. So, Doc Jumela?
Hello. So,
Ay.
ayan.
Ayun. Sige, mag-hi ka muna. Tapos, ipapakita ko yung questions. 1 to 10, and then you go ahead. Sige, Doc, mag-hi ka muna sa kanila saglit.
So, hi, I'm Jumet. So, ayan na kayong sa Biochem Quizmaster session niyo for today. And so yung goal ko for this Quizmaster session is actually to give you a glimpse of how questions are actually asked in the boards. and to level your expectations, no? Ayun. So, yung mga questions na makikita nyo, actually, yun yung mga questions na inask sa, some of the questions that were asked in our boards. And hindi na yun verbatim, syempre, kasi recall na lang siya. Pero same concepts. Okay? So,
Thank you, Doc. Ayan, so ihanda na natin ang ating mga QM answer sheets. Let's do this, guys.
Sorry, Sheets hasn't added.
So 30 seconds lang, guys, per... Sorry. 30 seconds lang tayo per question, okay? Let's start. Okay, number 2. Oops, sorry. Naka-presenter view pala ako. Ito, guys. Ayun. Mhm. Ayan. So, number 2 na tayo, no? Number 3. Ayan, so that's the last number. So, Doc Jumela.
Okay, so sige, sagutan na natin. So let me just share my screen. Okay, so great. Okay, so for this question, ay sagot dito ay letter B, tryptophan. Hey, so katulad ng sinabi ni Dr. Rubio kanina, meron tayong dalawang mnemonics no for yung mga amino acids derivatives nila. Okay? So yun yung amino acid and yung derivatives nila. So that will include yung phenylalanine and yung tryptophan. Okay? So for phenylalanine, yung mnemonic natin dyan is pare, true love does not exist to me. So medyo mapanahit no, pero high yield. Okay? So that will represent, ayan, phenylalanine to tyrosine, to L-dopa, to dopamine, to norepinephrine, and then epinephrine. So ano yung to me, yung mnemonic? So yun yung T3 and T4, tsaka melanin. Okay? So for tryptophan, derivatives, ang ating mnemonic for that is tryptophano. So that would represent tryptophan, melatonin, serotonin, and niacin. Okay, so guys, careful lang kasi yung melanin ay derivative ng phenylalanine. Whereas yung melatonin, derivative siya ng tryptophan. Magkatulog sila, diba? So parang medyo nakakalito. So for me, para hindi ako malito, tatandaan ko na lang na yung may mga to dun sa kanilang names, sila yung tryptophan derivatives. And yung tryptophan, may to din siya sa name niya. Okay, so tryptophan, melatonin, serotonin. Okay, so exception is yung niacin, which is yung sagot dun sa number natin. Okay? Okay, so ayan, since we're talking about amino acids na rin naman, very important to know kung ano yung essential and semi-essential amino acids. So again, yung ating mnemonic for that is PVT Timhol, always argues, never tires. So always argues, so yung A is always arginine and not asparagine and not aspartate. Okay? T is never tyrosine. So kung ano pa yung mga other T, sila included. So that's yung threonine tsaka yung tryptophan. Okay? Sige, so doon naman tayo sa glucogenic and ketogenic na amino acids. So kung ketogenic, this means na itong amino acids na to, pwede sila ma-convert to acetyl-CoA and pwedeng ma-convert yun in turn into ketone bodies. Okay? And then kung glucogenic, then pwede sila ma-convert sa pyruvate and intermediates of the Krebs cycle except acetyl-CoA and be converted to glucose. Hey, so yung mga purely ketogenic natin ay yung may mga L sa kanilang names. So dalawa lang naman yun, no? Yun yung lysine and leucine. Okay? Whereas yung mga glucogenic and ketogenic natin na amino acids ay meron na naman tayong mnemonic for that. Okay? So that is Tri-Philippine Islands, TY. Okay? So tri, that's tryptophan, Philippine, phenylalanine, islands, isoleucine, TY is tyrosine. So kung ano man yung wala doon sa ating purely ketogenic and glucogenic and ketogenic would belong sa purely glucogenic. Okay? So let's try. Okay. So all of the following are essential amino acids except, okay, so sabi natin ang ating mnemonic ay PVT Timhol, always argues, never tires. So PVT Timhol may I. So ito essential siya since di ba nga sa Tim may I. Okay. And then always argues, never tires. So never tyrosine pero yung dalawa T ay included. So that would be threonine and tryptophan. So essential din silang dalawa. So that would leave us with letter D, serine. Siya yung, oops, share results. Let me just close the poll. Okay, so yung answer is letter D, serine. Okay, ayan. So, which of the following is a purely glucogenic amino acid? Okay, so ang answer dito, okay, so sabi natin, di ba, yung may mga L, purely ketogenic sila. So, X na to kasi ketogenic siya. And then, meron tayong mnemonic for those na ketogenic and glucogenic, which is yung Tri-Philippine Islands, TY. So, tri, tryptophan. So, hindi na to yung sagot. Philippine, phenylalanine. So, hindi na rin ito. So, that leaves us with letter C, alanine. Okay? Alright, sige. So, number 2. So, ang sagot dito is letter D, vitamin B6 or pyridoxine. Okay? So, as we can see here, if deficient or if in excess si vitamin B6 or pyridoxine, pwede siya mag-cause ng peripheral or sensory neuropathy. Okay? So, katulad na sinabi ni Dr. Rubio kanina, another thing lang to note about this is that yung vitamin B6 and vitamin B2, ginagamit din sila sa pag-synthesize ng vitamin B3 or niacin, no? So, if deficiency vitamin B6, pwede rin siya mag-cause ng vitamin B3 deficiency symptoms. So again, yung vitamin B3 deficiency signs or yes, ay yung 3Ds natin, no? So that would be dementia, diarrhea, and dermatitis. So yung dermatitis, yun yung Kiesel necklace, no? Okay, so again, another important thing na I think natanong din sa boards namin. Okay, so yung isoniazid, isa siya sa mga medications that can decrease yung vitamin B6. So, in patients na taking yung mga anti-TB drugs natin, we give vitamin B6 supplementation to prevent sensory or peripheral neuropathy. Okay? Sige, so, ito. So, I'm just showing this to tell you na important things sa vitamins ay to know yung alternative names nila. So yan, yung vitamin B1 is also called thiamine, vitamin B2, riboflavin, and yung others, no? And also, important to note yung kung ano yung magiging signs and symptoms if deficient or if in excess sila. And also kung ano yung functions ng mga vitamins na yun. So, what are highlighted here ay yung mga lumabas din na questions about vitamins no sa board exam namin. So, tinanong, what vitamin is expected to be deficient among vegetarians? So, we see here na ang sagot ay vitamin B12 kasi yung source niya ay animal products only. Okay? So, it cannot be derived from plant products. Okay? Then, tinanong din, what is the earliest sign of vitamin A deficiency? As in verbatim na ganun. Okay? So, kung pinasadahan mo lang to sa handout, no, malilito ka kasi itong 4 dito nakalagay sa choices. Okay? Pero ang tinatanong is yung sign lang. And yung sagot doon is loss of sensitivity to green light. Again, yung sign is something that can be assessed by another person, whereas yung symptom is something that is subjective and only can be felt by the patient. No? Okay. So, next number. Hey.
Doc, poll tayo, sorry.
Ay, sorry.
Okay lang daw, okay lang.
Okay po. Bali ma'am, ano pong gagawin kapag po nagpa-poll?
Maglo-launch lang tayo ng poll. Ayan. Tapos,
alright.
pasagutan natin sa kanila ng saglit lang.
Alright.
Yun.
20 seconds, Doc Mitch.
Opo, thank you.
Okay, so, ma'am, is this for question number 3 na po?
Yes po.
Okay. Sige, so, most of you got it right. Letter D yung sagot, no? Fetal hemoglobin. Okay? Do I close na lang po, ma'am? Yung poll?
Yes, Doc.
Right, sige, so, ayan. So, the answer here is, ayan, tama. Most of you got it right naman, okay? Okay, so, itong oxygen, so the rest, no? These will cause shift to the right dun sa oxygen hemoglobin dissociation curve, whereas this one will cause a shift to the left. Okay? So, guys, ito, mga 4 na tanong itanong dito. Favorite to sa boards namin. Okay? So, also, physiology crossover question siya, pero sa biochem siya lumabas. Right? So, first, ano ba muna yung shift to the right sa O2 hemoglobin dissociation curve? So, ito yung kapag decrease yung affinity ng hemoglobin to oxygen. So, there is increased unloading of oxygen to the peripheral tissues, no? Okay, so, whereas yung left shift naman is kapag increased yung affinity ng hemoglobin to oxygen. So, decreased yung unloading sa peripheral tissue. So, mas nagiging clingy si hemoglobin kay oxygen. Okay? So, may mnemonic na naman tayo dito, which is yung kabit, do the right thing, let go. Okay? So, this is for the shift to the right. Okay? So, ito yung factors that will cause a shift to the right. So increase in concentration of carbon dioxide, which is the same as acidosis, or pwede rin sabihin nila increase in hydrogen ion. Lahat yon acidosis lang din, no? Pwede rin increase in concentration of 2,3 ppg, pwede rin exercise, and pwede rin increase in temperature. So lahat ng opposite nito will cause a shift to the left sa O2 hemoglobin dissociation curve. And in addition to that, pwede rin na makapagpa-shift to the left ang increase in fetal hemoglobin, no? Kasi, okay, so by the time kasi na mag-reach yung blood sa placenta, so low na yung concentration ng oxygen. So for the fetus to be able to pull yung oxygen, it really needs to have high affinity yung hemoglobin sa oxygen, no? Right. So another factor that can cause a shift to the left na wala dito is carbon monoxide poisoning. Okay, so carbon monoxide. So yung hemoglobin kasi it has 200 times the affinity to carbon monoxide compared sa oxygen. Okay? And if one carbon monoxide molecule binds one of the binding sites of hemoglobin, what happens is yung the rest ng binding sites ng hemoglobin ay mas tumataas yung affinity sa oxygen. So parang nangyayari is nagkakaroon ng shift to the left, no? And nagde-decrease yung unloading ng oxygen into the tissues, so nagde-decrease yung concentration ng oxygen sa tissues natin. Okay, sige. So eto, I dedicated a slide about hemoglobin here kasi ang dami rin questions about this sa boards namin. So lahat ng to, yung structure, types, configurations, tig-iisang tanong siya. So, okay, so sa structure, reviewin natin. Okay, so yung hemoglobin, ang structure niya ay quaternary. Okay, so ano ba yung mga structures or structural organization ng protein? Okay, so yung primary structure is, of course, yung amino acid sequence ng protein. Secondary structure is yung kapag yung may folding na ng polypeptide. Yung tertiary structure is kapag meron ng 3D shape yung polypeptide and functional na siya. So another example for that, or an example for that is myoglobin, no? Okay, so quaternary is kapag composed na yung meron na siyang 2 or more polypeptide chains or subunits. So an example for this is yung hemoglobin, which has 4 polypeptide chains, as you can see in here, no? 4 siya. Okay, so sa types, okay, so yung tinanong doon sa boards namin is fetal hemoglobin is composed of what chains? Parang ganun. Okay, so yung sagot doon is 2 alpha chains and 2 gamma chains. Okay? So, itong hemoglobin F or fetal hemoglobin, siya yung pinaka-abundant or makita sa fetus. Okay? Whereas yung hemoglobin A, this is 95% of the hemoglobin after birth. Okay? And it's composed of 2 alpha chains and 2 beta chains, which is ito. Okay? Nasa picture. Okay? Hemoglobin A2 is a normal variant ng hemoglobin A, and it is composed of 2 alpha chains and 2 delta chains. Okay, and it's about 1.5 to 3.5% of the hemoglobin after birth. Okay, so sa configurations, yan. So yung taut form, makita siya kapag yung hemoglobin ay may low oxygen affinity. Whereas yung relaxed form, makita siya kapag yung hemoglobin ay may high oxygen affinity. So as an analogy lang, like, iniisip ko na lang, no? Kapag tense ka, ganyan, hindi ka masyadong paano ba? Parang hindi ka receptive sa information, ganon. Whereas kapag kunyari, relaxed ka, hindi ka aligaga, ganyan, parang mas madaling, di ba, umabsorb ng info. Parang in the same way, parang ganito siya, na parang kapag tense si hemoglobin, hindi siya, low yung affinity niya sa oxygen. And kapag relaxed, high yung affinity sa oxygen. Okay? So, yung pagkakatanong sa boards is like, parang may case, ganyan, na in acidosis, what would be yung expected na configuration ng hemoglobin? So, as we said kanina, di ba, acidosis will cause a shift in the right sa ating O2 hemoglobin dissociation curve. Kasi ang mangyayari is magkakaroon ng increased or parang magkakaroon ng unloading ng oxygen sa peripheral tissues, no? So we prefer yung low O2 affinity na in that case, which is yung taut form. Okay? Ayan. Right, so number 4. Okay, so right, so magpapa-poll po ba tayo, ma'am?
Yes po. Tapos Doc, after 20 seconds, basahin na lang natin yung result para sa mga nasa portal since hindi nila nakikita.
Okay po. Sige po.
Thank you.
Alright, so Moose got the answer correctly naman, no? So ang tamang sagot ay letter B. Okay, so lies. I know nakakalito, no? Kasi parang medyo marami yung nagsagot ng lies. So eto, actually hindi ko na-expect na lalabas siya sa words, pero verbatim, ganyan yung pagkakatanong kung paano siya sinulat dyan. Okay? So just read through this. And dun tayo sa nakakalito, no? So yung lies saka ligays, medyo magkatunog sila. Pero very different yung kanilang function, okay? So, ayan, yung lies, yung nag-cleave nung carbon to carbon, carbon to sulfur, and carbon to nitrogen bonds. Whereas yung nag-form ng mga bonds na yun ay yung ligays. So be careful lang, no? So to remember that, ligays sounds like lies, di ba? Which is parang to break down or parang tear apart, ganun. Okay? Sige. So, just familiarize yourself with the definitions kasi pwedeng ganun yung tanungan, no? Parang recall type siya ng question. Okay? Sige. So, number 5. Okay, so most of you got it right naman, no? 76% ang nakakuha nung tamang sagot, which is letter B, recommended dietary allowance. Hey, so ganito rin yung tanong. Recall type din siya, guys. Okay? So, sige, so doon naman tayo sa dietary reference intakes. So lahat ng choices kanina, under siya sa dietary reference intakes, and it is a general term for a set of reference values used to plan and assess nutrient intakes of note healthy people, no? Healthy dapat yung mga tao. Okay? So, okay, so ayan nga, the DRI consists of 4 dietary reference standards for the intake of nutrients designated for a specific age group, physiologic state, and sex. So tinanong to sa words. Okay, pagkakatanong is, which among the following factors is not a determinant for the recommended, for deciding yung recommended intake of nutrients. Parang ganun. Okay? So A, age, B, sex, C, physiologic state, D, pathologic state. Then, so yung answer doon is letter D, which is pathologic state. Since sabi nga natin, yung DRI, ang kanyang reference ay yung healthy people, no? Physiologic state, okay? Not pathologic state. Okay. So, ayan, no? Yung tanungan dito is kung ano yung mismong definition. Recall siya. Okay, so, siguro, ano na lang tayo ng mga keywords. Like, kapag narinig yung 50%, then average, no? So, yun yung estimated average requirement. Whereas, kung kunyari, yung nearly all, or 97 to 98% of individuals ma-meet yung kanilang daily nutrient intake level, then that would be the recommended one, no? Kasi gusto natin na most people would meet their intake, daily nutrient intake requirement. Okay? So, ayun. And then, yung adequate intake, ginagamit lang to kung hindi natin mako-compute yung EAR or RDA. Okay? Whereas yung tolerable upper intake level, so ito yung highest average daily intake ng nutrient na hindi magkakos ng signs of toxicity. Okay? Sige. Okay. So, ayan din, no? Kailangan nyo rin malaman kung ano yung recommended na macronutrient distribution range, acceptable macronutrient distribution ranges. Okay, so this means na sa yung total daily calorie intake natin, okay, 45 to 65% of that should be coming from carbohydrates, 20 to to 35% of that should be coming from fats, 10 to 35% should be coming from proteins, and simple sugars should comprise only less than 10% of the total kcal per day. Okay, so given that, okay, so yung sagot sa tanong na to, okay, so minsan kasi hindi specific, no, yung or hindi ka pala sa handout yung percentage na lumalabas sa boards, pero kung ano yung nearest. So sabi nga natin, di ba, yung majority of it should be coming from carbohydrates. So carbohydrates ang sagot dito sa question na to. Okay? Right. Okay, so number 6. Okay, so most of you got the answer correctly naman, no? So ang sagot dito ay letter B, hexose monophosphate shunt. Okay? So, isa-isahin muna natin yung mga choices, no? Ano ba napoproduce sa mga to? So, sa glycolysis, ano ba napoproduce? 2 molecules of pyruvate or lactate, depending kung aerobic or anaerobic yung glycolysis. And that would in turn depend kung may mitochondria sa cell and kung sufficient yung oxygen, no? Okay. So, polyol pathway, ano bang meron dito? So, ito yung pathway na nagko-convert ng glucose to sorbitol, then to fructose. Okay, yun. So, hindi din ito yung sagot, no, given that. Okay, and then nucleotide, sa letter D, nucleotide synthesis. Okay, nasa pangalan na, ano ba yung sinesynthesize ng pathway na to? Nucleotide. Okay, so, yung purine and pyrimidine nucleotides natin. So, ginagamit siya for RNA and DNA synthesis. Okay, so, sige, let's review yung pentose phosphate pathway or yung hexose monophosphate shunt. Okay, so meron siyang 2 phases and meron siyang 2 important products, yung NADPH tsaka ribose 5-phosphate. Okay, dun sa first phase, so ito yung oxidative and irreversible step. Nandito din yung ating rate-limiting step. So yung rate-limiting step enzyme natin dito is yung glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase, no? So ito siya yung yung nagko-convert ng glucose 6-phosphate to 6-phosphogluconate. Okay? And then yung second phase niya, okay? So dito na nagko-form yung ribose 5-phosphate, okay, na ginagamit natin sa DNA and RNA synthesis. Okay? So yung NADPH, saan to ginagamit? Okay? Sa fatty acid synthesis or lipogenesis. Okay? Pwede rin gamitin sa glutathione reductase, sa RBCs, and sa oxygen-dependent bactericidal mechanism ng WBCs natin. Okay? Sige. So, okay, number 7. Hey, so most of you got the answer correctly naman, no? So it's letter D, glucose 6-phosphatase. Okay, so lahat ng ito actually ay enzyme ng glycogenolysis. Okay, so let's review yung glycogenolysis. Okay. Okay, so medyo simple lang naman, no, yung steps ng glycogenolysis. So yun, meron siyang shortening of chains that's mediated by the glycogen phosphorylase, which is its rate limiting enzyme. Okay, yun ang enzyme. Okay, and then number 2, yung removal of branches, which is mediated by yung debranching enzyme. And number 3, yung conversion from glucose 1-phosphate to glucose 6-phosphate to glucose. Okay, so makita natin, no, na may dalawang end products yung glycogenolysis, depending kung saang organ siya ginagawa. Okay, so kapag sa muscle, it's glucose 6-phosphate, whereas sa liver, it's just glucose. Okay, or it's glucose. Okay, so bakit magkaiba? Okay, kasi sa liver, meron tayong enzyme na glucose 6-phosphatase. Okay, so kapag niremove mo yung phosphate ng glucose 6-phosphate, magiging glucose na lang siya, no? And this can go out into the bloodstream and be distributed into other organs. Whereas, sa skeletal muscle, wala nito ng glucose 6-phosphatase. So, kumbaga, nakukulong lang siya sa muscle and hindi nakakalabas sa bloodstream, no? So, kumbaga, parang for its own use lang yung glucose 6, for the muscle's own use lang yung glucose 6-phosphate and yung glycogenolysis, no? Right? So, actually, na-realize ko sa biochem is that yung liver, para siyang ano talaga, organ for other organs. So, kung naalala nyo, siya din yung nagpo-produce ng ketone bodies, but then hindi siya yung nakakagamit nun. Hindi siya makakapag-ketolysis kasi wala siyang thiophorase na enzyme, no? So, parang ang sinabi nga ni Dr. Baticolon, di ba? Si liver ang nagsasaing, pero iba yung kumakain. Parang ganun. Okay? Sige. So, ano tayo? Number 8. Okay, so most of you got the answer correctly naman, no? Which is, okay, hindi ko na sabihin kung ano yung sagot. Okay, so sige. So, nung nabasa ko yung tanong na to, okay, so, ito na lang muna. Yung mga choices na nandito, similar dun sa choices na meron sa boards namin. So, ito yung tanong, and then yung A, C, and D, similar dun sa choices. Yung letter B, ko lang yan. Okay? So, paano natin i-approach yung ganitong tanong, especially kung wala tayong alam about dun sa sakit na to, na yung tyrosinemia type 1, no? So, okay, so kapag ganito guys, test taking strategy, no? Okay, so hindi ko alam kung tama ba to, itong letter A, no? Yung letter B, hindi ko din sure. Yung letter C, so yan, sabi niya, diba? Patients with such condition should avoid high protein diet. And then letter D, patients with such condition may be given milk and cheese. So medyo related yung choices C and D na parang may relation sa diet, no? But then, if you look at it carefully, parang hindi pwedeng parehas silang true, no? Kasi high protein diet, tapos yung milk and cheese, high protein din sila, di ba? Hey, so, if may dalawang nagko-contradict na choices, so more likely than not, or I think talagang sure tayo na isa lang doon yung sagot, okay? So, if you, paano ba, kapag nakita ko yung tyrosinemia, okay? So, parang may infer mo na yun na parang mataas yung tyrosine sa blood, kaya siya tyrosinemia. So you don't really want na to give more protein kasi yung nga, tyrosine is an amino acid that creates protein, no? So then, given that, then likely answer is yung C, true to. I mean, yung likely na true is yung C. So kung true yung C, then letter D is the false one, di ba? Ayan. So, yan. Pwedeng, i-ano nyo na lang siya. Kung hindi alam talaga yung sagot, pwede nyo na lang siyang i-test taking strategy. Okay? Sige. So, number 9 tayo. Okay. Sige. So, most of you got the answer correctly naman, no? And the answer is lipogenesis, letter D. Okay. Sige. So, okay. Unang thing na iisipin nyo is, itong glucagon, ano ba siya? Is it a hormone of the well-fed state or of the fasting state? Okay, so glucagon is a hormone of the fasting state. So kung fasting state tayo, di ba, parang mas nag-favor tayo na mag-catabolize. Oo. Okay, so breaking down, then building up, no? Okay, so we want to mobilize all our, yung mga stored natin na mga nutrients para may use natin sila as fuel or energy. Okay, so yung letter A, glycogenolysis, this is catabolic. So, yes, ma-activate to, no? Beta oxidation, this is catabolic. So it breaks down yung fatty acids, no? And produces acetyl-CoA. So again, ito din, activated din to, no? Ketogenesis. So ito, source yan ng alternative fuel kapag kapag in starvation yung isang patient or yun nga, kapag fasting state. So yung sa beta oxidation, di ba, produce tayo ng acetyl-CoA dyan. Yung acetyl-CoA na yun, pwedeng gamitin for ketogenesis. And yung ketone bodies na yun, pwedeng gamitin like nung mga organs, like nung, for example, brain, no? And kapag nasa brain na siya, doon na mangyayari yung ketolysis, maka-convert back siya sa acetyl-CoA, yung ketone body, and ma-feed siya doon sa Krebs cycle and produce ATPs and yes, produce energy, no? Hey, so yes, ito din I activated ng glucagon in fasting state. So, yung sagot is letter D, which is yung opposite ng beta oxidation, no? So, again, if may dalawang contradictory na choices, one of those is the answer. Okay? So, ayun lang, no? Very important. Ilang beses na tinanong sa exam namin, mga 4 questions related lang sa well-fed and fasting state. So, ang pwedeng tanongin is kung ano yung mga pathways na activated or stimulated at ano yung pathways na inhibited by insulin or glucagon or yung mga substances na similar to glucagon. So ito yung mga kakampi ng glucagon, no? Yung epinephrine, cortisol, and growth hormone. And they have the same effect as glucagon. Okay? So kung hindi man ganun yung tanong, pwedeng tanongin is kung anong effect ng mga ito, ng insulin, glucagon, and these stuff sa mga enzymes na nandun sa metabolic processes na involved. Okay? So for example, yun, what is the effect of glucagon on glycogen phosphorylase? Okay, so glycogen phosphorylase, this is an enzyme ng glycogenolysis, no? So siya yung rate limiting step enzyme nun. Okay, so again, catabolic na process yun. So, and we know na glucagon is a fasting state hormone. So, is it activated or inhibited? The answer is activated. Okay? So, yun, yung acetyl-CoA carboxylase, we know na this is an enzyme of fatty acid synthesis or lipogenesis. Okay, so is it catabolic or anabolic? It's anabolic, yung fatty acid synthesis, whereas glucagon is a fasting state na siya na hormone. So we don't really expect to be building up or yung magiging anabolic tayo kapag tayo ay fasting state, no? Since we want to we don't want to waste that energy na to build things up, okay? And we need that during fasting state. We need to mobilize yung stores natin since wala nang glucose, no? And yun nga, for energy, okay? So kapag so for this one, this enzyme is inhibited. Okay? Sige. So next question tayo.
Doc, excuse me, sorry po. Yung mga nasa portal, gusto lang nilang itanong yung number 8 na answer daw, na-confused daw sila. Thank you, Doc.
Okay. Okay, so, alright, so this one, false itong yung letter D kasi they may be given milk and cheese. So, hindi, di ba? Kasi high protein diet yon, and we should be avoiding high protein diet kasi yun nga, may build up ng tyrosine sa body ng patient natin. So, as you can see, parang contradictory yung C and D, no? So, in that case, yung pipili lang tayo na isa doon. So, we should actually avoid giving milk and cheese. Kaya ito yung sagot, ito yung false, ito yung accept. Okay? Ayun.
Doc.
Alright. Sige pa. Okay, so if may questions pa, go and ask lang. Okay? Ayan. So, sige. Okay, so most of you got the answer correctly. So the answer is unambiguous. Okay, so sige. Explain natin. Okay, so ano ba yung mga characteristics ng genetic code? So number one, it's degenerate. So multiple codons may code for the same amino acids. So for example, itong GCU, GCC, GCA, and GCG, they all code for alanine, no? So yun yung example ng degenerate. Hey, so unambiguous. A specific codon always codes for the same amino acid. Hey, so yung GCU will always code for alanine. Nowhere in this table can we see na GCU will code for glycine, valine, or other amino acids. Okay? Sige, so non-overlapping. Hey, so this means na a nucleotide would only belong in a single codon. Okay? So, hindi siya pwedeng maging part ng adjacent na codon. Just as like in here, no? Kumbaga, hindi siya itong U na nucleotide na to, hindi siya pwedeng sumama with yung kabila. Okay? Right. So, yung universal, so it has been conserved from very early stages of evolution. Okay, so this means na yung genetic code ng kanino-ninuan natin ng and even ng mga so yung mga plants, humans, animals, bacteria, we share the same genetic code, no? So ayun, same lang yung mga nucleotide bases na ginagamit natin, right? So sige, so I think this will be my last slide. So I'll just share yung mga parang tips na lang, no? So, yung biochem actually is one of the subjects sa board exam namin noong March na fair. So, very fair yung mga questions. And isa siya sa mga subjects na kapag binasa mo yung handout nila Doc Ronnie Bats, nila Doc Rubio, sobrang sulit niya kasi talagang lumalabas sa exam yung mga kung ano yung nandun sa handout. And minsan verbatim, yun nga, word per word, yun yung lumalabas since maraming recall questions. Okay? And ayun guys, wag kayong ma-overwhelm sa mga metabolic processes. You don't really have to delve dun sa mga nitty-gritty or yung mga intricacies ng mga metabolic processes. So no need to memorize all the steps ng Krebs cycle. So until now, hindi ko pa rin kabisado yung Krebs cycle. So more important to know yung mga key enzymes, ano yung mga rate-limiting steps, ano yung importance ng mga pathways, ba't sila, ano yung mga napoproduce, no? Ganyan. And siguro pwede na rin yung kabisaduhin yung mga substrates where those metabolic processes are occur, ganyan. And yung mga sakit, like yung mga thalassemia, congenital adrenal hyperplasia, Alport syndrome, ganyan. Okay, so guys, aralin nyo rin siya kasi pwede siyang lumabas sa ibang subjects, no? So for example, sa pedia exam namin, okay, lumabas yung alkaptonuria. Okay, so tinanong kung ano daw yung metabolic disorder that will cause blackened urine upon standing, which is alkaptonuria. Okay, nasa biochem siya na-discuss. Okay, and in the same way, actually, to prepare for the biochem exam, you really have to read din naman, or you really have to integrate yung iba pang mga subjects with it, no? So, kunyari, yung visual concept ng oxygen hemoglobin dissociation curve, yun, pwede siya lumabas sa biochem. Okay? So, yun lang naman, I think, yung aking mabibigay na tips. Okay? So, good luck and God bless sa inyong exam, and I'll see you on the other side.
Thank you so much, Doc Jumela. Guys, virtual clap naman for Doc Jumela. Doc, thank you so much. And so, para sa mga nasa portal, okay, I'm reminding you, tomorrow po at 8 a.m., meron tayong introduction para sa ating legal medicine. So, sa mga bebe ko, okay, tomorrow, Zoom pa rin tayo. Send ko yung link before 8 a.m. So, Doc, before we go, any advice ba sa kanila sa pagsa-study nila? Or any motivation?
Okay, so I think yung for the biochem, no, yun yung aking advice. Ayun guys, ako, I think you should, alam niyo yung laging sinasabi ng quote ni Dr. Banzuela na parang shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you land among the stars. Tama ba? Hindi ko sure kung tama pa yung alala ko na ano. Pero yeah, yun, kumbaga parang aim high. Kasi yun nga, if you aim high, kung hindi mo man ma-achieve, which is, well, ayun, like ako parang ginoal ko talaga na magiging top-notcher or ano, mas malaki yung chance na you'll pass, di ba? Parang ganun. And also, magagamit mo rin naman kasi yung matututunan mo sa patients mo in the future. So parang it's really worth it to invest sa knowledge, no? Ayan, yun lang.
Thank you, Doc. So before we end, let me play a send-off video para sa ating lahat.
I close my eyes and I can see a world that's waiting up for me, that I call my own. Through the dark, through the door, through when no one's been before, but it feels like home. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say I've lost my mind. I don't care, so call me crazy. We can live in a world that we design. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. What the world can be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. A million dreams for the world we're gonna make.
There's a house we can build, every room inside is filled with things from far away. The special things I compile, each one there to make you smile on a rainy day.
They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say we've lost our minds. I don't care if they call us crazy. Run away to a world that we design. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. A million dreams for the world we're gonna make.
However big, however small, let me be part of it all. Share your dreams with me. You may be right, you may be wrong, but say that you'll bring me along to the world you see, to the world
I close my eyes to see. I close my eyes to see. Every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head.
A million dreams are keeping me away.
A million dreams, a million dreams. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. A million dreams for the world we're gonna make.
Conquer the world. Tibay ng loob, everyone.
For the world we're gonna make.
And so that ends our session for today. Thank you so much for being here. Good night, everyone. Bye-bye. Bye, Doc Jumela.
Ay po, thank you po, ma'am.
Thank you.